What's going on, Facebook? What's going on, YouTube? Thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate you so much for being here. And today is a pretty important live stream. It may not be the most popular one or what everybody wants to hear, but I think if you follow me for the next 5, 10, 15 minutes, you'll figure out why the Republican Party keeps losing. I brought out my cowboy hat today because I want to, talk about my brothers in the Republican Party and people like Glenn Youngkin who are just losing in slow motion wearing cowboy hats. That's what I say the Republicans do. But it's in now that Youngkin won't be blocking any local COVID mandates, a shift from other GOP governors. A lot of GOP governors realize that all this authoritarianism and medical authoritarianism is no good and it's going to last forever. And if they don't do something, it's never going to go away. But Glenn Youngkin decides to pretend to be a libertarian and say, oh, we're going to let the local government decide. But here's the thing. I actually have proof, if you stick around through this live stream, that he actually doesn't mean that at all, because there's other policies that he's pushing that have to do with free speech and saying hate speech words that Glenn and his donors probably don't like. And he's willing to go across the entire government of Virginia and pass these laws. So he doesn't mean what he says. And let's go through it. And that's what it's going to be about today. Should be eye-opening. And if we learn this and figure this out, I think we can move forward and really get some W's here in the Republican Party. But thank you guys for being here. And I want to say this real quick as everyone's coming in, because I don't like to waste too much time. When 2020 happened, right, there weren't very many Republicans who were libertarians. I would say maybe Kristi Noem was the only governor that stayed libertarian. And I don't know if she did the whole time, but let's give her the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, Kristi Noem was like actually a libertarian when it mattered. Okay. Out of all the other governors, even Ron DeSantis, I'm not trying to knock him, but I'm just saying everybody else locked their state down. Everybody else used their powers and emergency powers to do all sorts of crazy stuff. So it's like when push came to shove, I'm not trying to blame, I'm just being honest. Republicans were like full-blown socialists and communists. They were locking down. They were shutting down business. They were printing trillions of dollars. They were just funneling billions of dollars to big pharma. So this is what bothers me. If they were libertarians all the time, I'd be like, good job, Glenn Youngkin. Yeah, we're libertarians. Let's just stay out of it. But they're not. They're full-blown socialists and communists when it matters. And then after they screw everything up and print trillions of dollars and sign the omnibus bills and put everybody on universal basic income under the guise of the CARES Act and the pandemic, then after they did all the damage with all the socialism, they're like, oh, yeah, we're just going to stay out of it. It's like, why didn't you stay out of it a year ago? If you would have stayed out of it then I would respect you. But it's like they follow the Democrats and then they act like they didn't do it. It's so annoying. But that's why I have the cowboy hat. I'm going to try to have fun with it. I say that Republicans are, losing in slow motion wearing cowboy hats. It's like the Democratic Party, in my opinion, they tax too much. They steal too much money. Bernie Sanders is always trying to be in your pockets. They take away the individual mandate. They tax your business more. Democrats are always stealing. So a lot of people are like, well, if the Democrats are so bad, the Republicans must really be fighting for me. And it's like, sort of, some people, some governors are definitely good, some local politicians, but I like to say nationally, the Republican Party is losing in slow motion wearing a cowboy hat. So it's like, they're losing, but at least they, wear cowboy hats while they do it. You gotta look good sometimes when you're caving to the Democrats and the medical tyrants. But I got a little kombucha here. I'm gonna take a sip of it. Someone said cowboy hillbilly. You can call me what you want. Unlike Glenn Youngkin, I don't believe in hate speech. So if you call me hillbilly, you can call me a hippie, you can call me white trash, you can make fun of my ethnicity. I'm not going to pass a speech law in order to stop you from saying it. You could call me whatever you want. You can call me a cracker, whether it be a saltine or a racial slur. You're like, hey, you look like a townhouse cracker. You look like the Keebler elf. I'll be like, hey, cut it off there, bucko. No, I'm just kidding. But jokes aside, you can say what you want about me. I'm never going to pass hate speech laws and try to, fight crime through speech laws, but Glenn Youngkin actually is, and I'm going to point that out. But someone said half the Republicans are rhinos. More than that, more than The Republicans that say, "Oh, we got to fight the rhinos," though they're rhinos most of the time too. And I'm not trying to like come with the everybody's bad. Listen to me, kids. Like, nah, you get what I'm saying. Just let's go slowly before I say something I regret. All right, so Glenn Youngkin, I think the first thing I heard him and what was her name? Winsome Winsome Sears. I like her a lot, but it was funny because like I'm like, okay, the first thing they were talking about, they're like HBCUs. They love to be like historically black colleges and universities. We're gonna fund them. That's fine, but I don't even think they like Republicans that much. But it looks good. I know they think that like people are like, oh man, finally we got the money. It's like they'll probably still vote Democrat, but he's there for that. But this is a Newsweek article, and it's all over the Hill. Republicans are tweeting about it too. Youngkin won't block any local COVID mandates, a shift from other GOP governors. So Virginia Governor-elect Glenn Youngkin said recently he will not attempt to block localities from implementing mask or vaccination requirements in a break from other Republican leaders across the country. Youngkin, a Republican who replaced Democrat Ralph Northam in January, said he will not mandate requirements as a governor. That's good. But it will be up to local authorities to decide whether to implement COVID safety measures. So, not all not all Republican governors are this weak and pathetic, but when Democrats run a state, most of the time, they're trying to do everything they can. And then when Republicans get in a state, they're like, we lost a lot of ground and, they're abusing children and doing things that are authoritarian, but I'll just let them do it. And, like, oh, I'll let the corporations do it. It's like, dummy. The corporations control real estate in all the Republican areas too. You're going to lose. But in general, some people are like, well, that's good. He's a libertarian, right? He just wants to let the states decide. He wants to let the local governments decide. It just sucks because he's actually not even consistent about that. And I'm going to read, this is off his website. It says, Youngkin announced his plan to combat anti-Semitism in Virginia. That sounds nice, right? Nobody likes an anti-Semite. What does that mean? It says, that's why as governor, he will form a Virginia Holocaust, Genocide, and Anti-Semitism Advisory Commission and push the Virginia General Assembly to pass a state law, not a local law, but a state law for everywhere, adopting the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance working definition of anti-Semitism. So I guess when it comes to mandates, he's a libertarian. I would never go across, county lines. But when it comes to speech laws and hate speech, all of a sudden he's a full-blown communist. He wants to, get rid of it in every state. And I have to tell you guys, because I'm going to read some of the laws so you know what they say. This is October 22nd, 2021. It says in the Hill, Youngkin is under fire for invoking George Soros in a school board debate. So apparently Glenn Youngkin was talking about George Soros, as a lot of Republicans do. Why does everybody talk about George Soros? Are they an anti-Semite? Do they hate all Jews in the world? I don't think so. I think most Republicans love Jews. I think they talk about George Soros because he has a lot of money and he runs foundations that, influence politics and society, Open Society Foundation. I think that's why they talk about him. But here's the irony of what he's doing and how him and Ted Cruz, they never learn. They get called an anti-Semite all the time, suggesting that George Soros has influence and power. Because anytime you say that about somebody who is Jewish and has a lot of money, or influence or whatever, right or wrong, they just use that word anti-Semite. So although Glenn Youngkin himself just a few weeks ago was called an anti-Semite, he's still going to move forward and try to pass these laws, which are some sort of hate speech laws. Now, I want to read because it said on that website, it sounds harmless. It's like, well, the Holocaust was bad and he's just passing a law for that. So it says the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's working definition of anti-Semitism. You could click that link and you can go right to the page, and it has a list of things that you can't say because it defines it as anti-Semitic. I believe in the First Amendment. I love Jews. I love Christians. I love Muslims. I love atheists. I love, black, white, Hispanic. It doesn't matter. I look at your soul and your spirit. But the First Amendment doesn't say, we believe in the right to free speech unless you're being hateful towards this group, or we determine that we don't want you to talk about George Soros. That's not what the First Amendment says at all. It's actually anti-First Amendment to do this. But Republicans, for some reason, they're full-blown communists when it comes to speech laws. They claim that they're fighting free speech, as Trump, DeSantis, Youngkin, they all do this. They all pass these exact speech laws and try to pass them on executive order in schools, across state lines. It's happening all over the country. You just don't know about it because no one else wants to report on it. Let's read one of the laws. I find this one the most interesting one, that Glenn Youngkin may pass into law and bring on some sort of like Germany style or European style hate speech laws. I don't know why he needs to pass this into law. I don't understand. One of the laws is that you can't say under Glenn Youngkin or any of these Republicans, It says you're not allowed to draw a comparison of contemporary Israeli policy to that of the Nazis. So if you suggest that any Israeli policy is similar to Nazis, that's anti-Semitic. And under Glenn Youngkin and Republicans, that might eventually be illegal to say. The weird part is I have a lot of Jewish friends, and a lot of Jewish friends that I have in America and in Israel are not very happy with the mandates in Israel. So I've personally heard multiple Jewish people that I follow call the Israeli government the word after the German people in World War II. I've seen Jewish people do that because they're not happy with the policy. And in America, you're supposed to have free speech. Glenn Youngkin wants to pass a law, pass a speech violation in partnership with some sort of Holocaust Foundation to essentially pass a law saying that you can't say that. You're not allowed to compare COVID mandates in Israel to that of Nazi Germany. It'll be illegal. It'll be like, Germany eventually, probably here in America, where if you say these things, they could throw you in jail. Did you know that in Germany, if you say certain things that they deem anti-Semitic, they could throw you in prison? Did you know they could throw you in prison and they can arrest you and fine you? And in Europe, if you criticize, Islamic immigrants and stuff, these are speech laws that are very common all over Europe. And this is what the Republicans are doing, not just Glenn Youngkin. Ron DeSantis did this. He actually, I reported this years ago, and I like Ron DeSantis. He's a great guy. I think he's the best governor in the country right now. But he actually passed the first Florida bill on foreign soil. I reported it a year ago, and everyone closes their ears and yells at me because they don't want to hear it. I find it interesting. This is stuff you're not going to see reported on any conservative page. So he flew over to Israel and passed a bill for Florida. This was historic because it was the first ever Florida bill that was passed in a foreign nation. Because usually when you're the Florida governor and you're passing bills for your state and your country, you don't do it in another country. It's a little bit weird, but I guess they're such a great ally, it's not that weird. But he was doing the same thing that Glenn Youngkin is doing, very similar, except passing some sort of like anti-Semitism rule that you can't say certain stuff in schools. I read the rule because, of course, I'm not a hateful person. I like everybody, right? It was a religious bill that was targeting religious discrimination, but it didn't include almost every religion. I found it weird. And it also was a religion bill that covered people that were not religious at all, that were just part of an ethnic group. So I was like, me, I'm very constitutional. I'm like, why would Ron DeSantis be passing speech laws in school for only one group of people, but not for everybody else? Do you know why? Because there doesn't need to be a speech law. I'm sorry. I love everybody, but the First Amendment is very clear. Once you start calling everything racist, everything sexist, everything xenophobic, everything's anti-Semitic, that's medical disinformation, that's, against the guidelines of the World Health Organization. It doesn't matter which group they use as a shield or which, religion they use as a shield. This is authoritarianism. This is communism disguised as social justice. This is, totalitarianism disguised as being a helpful guy. That's what Glenn Youngkin wants to do. He wrote it on his website. I'm going to read it again straight off his website. It says, that's why the governor, as governor, he will form a Virginia Holocaust, Genocide, and Anti-Semitism Advisory Commission and push the Virginia General Assembly to pass a state law, adopting the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's working definition of anti-Semitism. He wants to pass hate speech violations into law. So he's totally fine with doing that on a state level. Hey, let's do this on a state level. Let's pass more speech laws. That's what America needs. Let's pass a speech law, Glenn Youngkin, that says that even Jewish people in America are not allowed to criticize the Israeli government, that Jewish people in America are not allowed to talk about banking and media power. If you read the rules, that's what they say. It says, don't say this, don't say this, you can't say this, you can't say this. Oh, it's anti-Semitic to talk about this person, that. It's a bunch of just nothing. It's just a bunch of don't say that, you're not free anymore. And that's what Republicans do. So let's go over it real quick. What is the Republican Party at this point? Are they worth voting for? I would say so. I don't like Democrats. I think they steal too much money. I think they're psycho with the mandates. But this is the dynamic that we have going on right now. It's not, okay, we have the big, bad, evil Democrats, and we have the good guy Republicans that believe in like the Constitution. What it is you have Democrats who have gone full-blown authoritarianism. They want to mandate on every level. They want to force kids to get vaccinations. They want to force every ethnic group to get vaccinations against their will. They want unlimited boosters that you can't opt out of. They want forced masking on children. The Democrats are full-blown insane. So I just don't vote for him. But here's what I want people to really listen. Just because you vote Republican, it doesn't mean these people are like, oh man, they're really fighting back against socialism. They are the socialists, they are the communists. And I'm not saying that lightly. Republicans did essentially communism in 2020. In 2020, they helped lock the country down. They printed $11 trillion. They gave everybody a paycheck for $1,200. They, funneled $12 billion to big pharma. And I see all these accounts on Twitter saying, well, the mandates are bad, but Operation Warp Speed's not that bad. And I'm like, listen, if Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson wants to create a product, like I create a product or anybody creates a product, that's fine. I have no problem with them creating a pharmacy product. I do have a problem with me, mom and pop shops, restaurants, holistic nurses, all sorts of different people, farmers being shut down out of their business. But Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, whatever, between the purchasing of the product and the funding, tens of billions of dollars of taxpayer dollars went to big pharma. Operation Warp Speed is not a good thing. It doesn't, just because he didn't mandate it doesn't mean it's good. When you incentivize the shutting down of other people, when you incentivize and take away free market competition and funnel that much money to big pharma, one of the most corrupt organizations on the planet, that's not a good thing. That's a horrible thing. Trump was a socialist. All the governors were socialists. And then they get on television and say, oh, we're going to fight the socialists and free market. It's like, you guys are not free market capitalists. You guys are full-blown socialists. And that's what Glenn Youngkin is saying. Oh, I don't want to, fight the authoritarian mandates. We blew it and let authoritarianism come to America. I'm a libertarian, folks. I just want to let the local governments decide. It's like, okay. So then are you going to not pass speech laws? Oh, no, I am going to pass speech laws because there's so much hate speech. And listen, people are going to misconstrue this and lie about this. There's a lot of things in history that are very, very bad. And I'm not here to compare them. Slavery of the past was bad. The Armenian genocide was bad. The Bolshevik Revolution was bad. Communism has killed people. The Chinese communist Mao Zedong regime killed tens of millions of people through Chinese communism over that 30, 40 years. All of these things are bad. There's not an ounce of me that looks at any of these genocides or any of these like horrible events and says, oh my God, this was awesome. It's horrible. It's terrible. It's evil. I condemn it to the fullest. But here's the thing. You don't have laws being passed that you can't question things with Chinese people. You don't have laws being passed that you're not allowed to talk about the Armenian genocide. You don't have any other laws. Republicans, and I'll tell you this, I'll just come out on a limb and tell you, I'm not being mean, I'm not being rude. This is who the Republicans are. This is who funds them. This is who they are. This is what they care. They don't care about you. They care about this political agenda of pushing speech laws for Israel and certain Jewish people so you can't question them. That's what they've been doing for years. Trump did it. DeSantis did it. Youngkin did it. Isn't that weird? Isn't it weird that he's not willing to go across county lines and fight mass mandates on children, but he's willing to pass hate speech laws across all counties in Virginia to say that you're not allowed to compare the government of Israel to Nazi Germany, despite the fact that they're pumping booster shots into Jewish people that don't want it? I'm not comparing them to that. I just think you deserve the right, whether you're Christian, Jewish, Muslim, atheist, white, black, Hispanic, you deserve the right to look at America and say, I want to compare you to communists. I want to compare you to Nazis. I want to compare you to Mao Zedong. You're allowed to compare Trump to Mao Zedong. You're allowed to compare Democrats to Nazis. You're allowed to say whatever you want, but you can't do one thing in this country and you can't do one thing in the Republican Party, and that's talk about a foreign nation and compare them to that and say that about them and say this about them. Why are all these laws being passed into power through Republicans? Why is that the first thing that they do? Why do they fund HBCUs all the time and act like black people are going to vote for them? I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like they're so pandery. It's like, look how not racist we are. No one cares. You're still going to get 10% of the black vote. I'm sorry. I wish I could change it for you, but it doesn't matter. It's like, care about the people who vote for you. Do something for them. Stand up for the children. Fight authoritarianism. It's absolutely ridiculous, but I want to let people know, to those who will still listen, it's not just Glenn Youngkin. It's Ted Cruz, it's Donald Trump, it's Ron DeSantis, it's the whole Republican Party. This is who they are. This is who they serve. This is their first number one priority. And if you suggest that they're doing it, they'll call you an anti-Semite. Why? Because they're fake. They're phonies. It's the same if you question, Cory Booker and they call you a racist. It's like, oh, you must hate all black people. It's like, no, I just disagree with like Kamala Harris. Oh, you're a racist and a sexist. No, you're not. You just don't like Kamala Harris. The right wing does the same thing with Jewish people in Israel. They do the same crap. They pass speech laws, they print money, they fund big pharma, and then they sit back and act like they're libertarians and wear cowboy hats and stuff. And it's never going to change until people start to call it out. I want to say there's this one account that I follow on Twitter, I see all the time. His name is like Art Taking the Country Back or something. And he tweeted, man, Glenn Youngkin had us all fooled. And nice guy, seems like a really nice guy. But it's like, I'm starting to see this pattern with a lot of Republican accounts. They don't report the truth about Amy Coney Barrett. They don't report the truth about Operation Warp Speed Trump. They won't speak the truth about the omnibus bill in 2019 or the executive orders, things that there's a lot of accounts, not just me, but a lot of people are trying to bring this to their attention. Hey, we know that you're a meme account or whatever, and you just like brainwash Republicans into thinking that like Trump is Jesus or whatever. But do you think you could tell the truth once in a while when Republicans aren't doing what you think they're doing? And they won't do it. So then every time something happens, then they act shocked, and it's getting a little annoying. They're like, I had no idea Amy Coney Barrett was going to do this. And I'm like, me and Robert Barnes tried to tell you a year ago, but you would never post that because all you do is shill for the Republican Party. You say everybody's a rhino except for Trump, and then you never question him or his Supreme Court pick. So it's like this cycle of like, you know, Republican pages like telling people only the good things, never criticizing anybody in the Republican Party besides like the obvious Mitt Romneys and like Liz Cheney's. And then they get deceived and fooled like 2 years later, and then they act completely shocked. And they're like, who would have saw that coming? It's like, well, how are we ever going to see that coming when you guys get mad at people like myself or Fog City Midge for pointing this stuff out? Fog City Midge on Instagram, I didn't fully see her videos, but she's been pointing out things about Glenn Youngkin for a month. I didn't see it because I've been busy, but I would never get mad at her. I would never say, hey, Midge, I don't want to hear that about Glenn Youngkin. Just act like he's the greatest politician ever. I'm genuinely interested. If somebody could show me something about Trump or Biden or Pelosi or whoever, or Glenn Youngkin or DeSantis, if it's true, if it's real, right? Why would I get mad at that? I'm like, I'm trying to learn and observe and take everything into consideration. But that's what people do to people like me and Mitch. They get so mad at us when we show them this. And then like, they're like, I'm confused. Why did this happen? Someone said Trump's a globalist. I'm not going to say who he is or not, but I'm trying to let people know in the nicest way possible. And before I end this, I don't want to get misconstrued as like a hateful person. Because listen, I got a lot of supporters in Israel because say what you want about me. I've always talked about these speech laws. I've been very on the Israel data for a while. And I've also been very, outspoken about what I think the government's doing to their people. I think that they're, they're corrupt, just like the government of Austria and the government of Germany and the government of America. I don't look at Israel any other way. I consider them like, part of the human race, part of planet Earth. And I'm like, I disagree with what the government's doing to the people. So when push comes to shove, I'm willing to go out on a limb and stand up for, Israelis. But it's like people who never do anything for Israelis. And then like twice a year, they come around and pass a speech law and say that it's illegal to criticize their government. And then I say something about it. And then they turn to me and call me an anti-Semite, or they're like, Anomalies filled with rage and anti-Semitism. It's like, no, I'm not. Why is Glenn Youngkin passing speech laws? Why is that his first thing? I know why. And I'm not allowed to say it. That's what the Republican Party is. That's what Facebook is. I know why they pass these laws. And part of why they pass the law is in the law. They say it's illegal to say why they're passing the law. I can't even say it. And it's not to blame everybody because that's not true. Everybody's not in on it. But there are certain wealthy people and certain donors that fund a lot of money. Listen, you don't see me out here talking reckless about George Soros. God bless that guy and his family, but he's got a lot of money, right? He's got a lot of power. People don't talk about him on the right wing because they're anti-Semitic. They talk about him because he's a billionaire who gets involved in currencies, politics, and global affairs and local affairs. He funds a lot of people. That's why people talk about Soros. It's not because they hate Jews. They just know that he's very wealthy and he funds a lot of local, statewide, elections. I mean, just look it up. That's what he does. So people call you an anti-Semite when you say that. It's like, no. And it's the same thing with if you, question Israel's government or, say Glenn Youngkin's passing this bill probably because his donors probably told him to. I don't know. I don't know that for sure. But when I look at the Republican Party, I could see where the big money's coming in. they were getting hundreds of millions of dollars from a certain billionaire who used to own Sands Casino, rest in peace, Sheldon Adelson. But that's where the Republicans were getting a lot of money from. And if you listen to Sheldon Adelson talk, you could hear what he's interested in, right? He talks just like anybody else. It's like Bill Gates. I love listening to Bill Gates interviews because Bill Gates just says what he's like. I mean, I'm not going to say he doesn't lie, but I feel like every time he does an interview, he's just like, yeah, we got to protect ourselves from indemnification because, a lot of people are going to have side effects. And then like you say that, I'm like, I didn't say that. He knows that there's a lot of side effects. That's why they've protected themselves with indemnification. Once again, that's why I like listening to Bill Gates interviews. He just kind of says what he's thinking. Sheldon Adelson's the same way. So you can't say why people are doing certain things when they're allowed to. You get what I'm saying? So I don't want to spend too much time on it. We can move on another topic, but we have to start calling out Republicans. And I want to real quick, I don't know if I could play this full clip because I feel like Alex Jones is one of the most censored people on the planet. But even Alex Jones is starting to call Trump pig-headed and saying that, he's becoming like a dangerous distraction. Alex Jones, say what you want about the guy. So you can call him what you want. He had over 1 billion views on YouTube. When Trump needed support the most in 2016, Alex Jones was one of the biggest accounts on the internet who supported Donald Trump. Donald Trump even went on InfoWars and said, Alex, thank you. He knew that Alex was a big boost for Donald Trump. Say what you want about him. That's true. Even Alex Jones, one of his biggest supporters, is saying he's over Trump because Trump is just like Mr. Pharmacy now, So it's going to take, the solution, because then people always say to me, well, normally, why do you say this? Blah, blah, blah. Stop complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm actually having a fun time. But at the same time, this is just going to keep happening until people confront their own party. So I think, the Democrats are out of control. The Republicans are the best option, in my opinion. I still vote that way. But after we vote, we have to start really, getting tough on these people and saying, listen, if you can't, do something about this authoritarianism, then maybe we should vote for somebody who will next time. Or maybe we're going to call you every day or, peacefully, of course. But, there's this weird kind of feeling on the Republican side now where everybody just really wants Donald Trump back. And they're not even paying attention to like the shortfalls and the downfalls and what the party's really doing. And, we'll see what happens. But I'm starting to see bigger supporters start to be like, wait a second. We gotta do something because, authoritarianism and medical tyranny, it's not going away. And when we win a position of power, listen, I already pointed out what I didn't like about DeSantis. Now let's talk about what I do like. DeSantis is doing way more against medical tyranny like he should. So, time to call out Youngkin. And it's like, how are you going to be a libertarian when it comes to stopping authoritarianism, but you're going to be a full-blown communist on speech laws and, act like you're saving somebody's life or something. It's unbelievable. Let's read some comments. And I had a good day. I hope you guys had a good day. I got a new song coming with Bryson Gray soon. I just recorded it today. It's fire. I think it's going to be a smash hit, so I'm excited about that. Someone said, VA Shiva said Youngkin is an elitist. Well, here's the thing to remember. Politicians are politicians, and I don't know. Some people don't pan out. Jan said, Trump is not Mr. Pharmacy. Name anyone who we can trust who will run our country. Those are two separate questions. You're saying he's not, he is Mr. Pharmacy. He spent so much time running around Newsmax, Bill O'Reilly. All he does is brag about pharmacy products. He's Mr. Pharmacy. I mean, I don't get what, like, people get so mad. They're like, who's going to save me if it's not Trump? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like, people got to stop getting so emotional over this stuff. It's not a big deal as long as long as people confront it. I don't know. It's like, he's going to save my life. It's like, no, he's not. He's not. And I have to agree with Alex that I've said this a few times, so I don't want to just like be a broken record, but these other Republicans are way easier to confront. Donald Trump, people do not want to hear it. It's crazy. So it's like, I'd rather somebody else win and then everybody would be on his behind. But if Donald Trump wins, people are like, dude, he's got a plan. And it's like, I'd rather just have like Ted Cruz or something. Then this way, everybody knows that Ted Cruz doesn't care that much. Like, it is what it is. But yeah, some booch. Someone said it's like good cop, bad cop. Oh, for sure. And it's becoming more and more clear where this is. I'm writing a book. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm going to get in trouble, but my book is going to be very straightforward. Listen, my book is for humanity. My book is not for one specific race. My book is not for country, one specific country. My book is for humanity, but I'm calling out all this deception. It's not just a left wing, oh, look how bad the Democrats are. I'm getting to the core of kind of what I'm talking about today and talking about how our speech is being completely derailed. If you listen to that guy who was like a Mao Zedong expert, he lived through communism in China and he escaped and his family escaped. He was talking about how it's very dangerous what's going on in America because everybody's rallying behind political correctness. This is a dual party thing. As the left wing hits you with the racist, sexist, xenophobic, medical stuff, the right wing starts passing anti-Semitism laws. And it's like the left wing locks down for 3 months, the right wing locks down for 3 weeks. The left wing prints $10 trillion, the right wing prints $5 trillion. Terry McAuliffe wants to mandate across the whole state. Glenn Youngkin just wants to allow local. Like, this is who the Republican Party is. It's like the Democrats are going 100 miles an hour towards authoritarianism. And it's like the Republicans are going like 40 miles towards authoritarianism. So that's what I want to really point out. It's not like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, that's what's happening. And it's going to keep happening until Republicans get tougher and say, hey, let's go the other way. That's how I feel about speech laws. It's like the only way to get free speech back is to get no more speech laws. You can't add more speech laws to fight the other speech laws. That's like when people tell me, how are we going to open up if Trump didn't lock the down and fund the vaccine? It's like, listen, I'm not trying to blame him. I'm just saying, like, you can't get your freedom back by giving it away. That's, for some reason, Republicans, not all, because clearly a lot of people get it, but some, they don't get that. They're like, oh, the only way to please the media is to be the left and fund HBCUs. And I'm like, if you want to fund HBCUs, that's fine. But it's like, there's a million things going on. I don't care if they fund black or white universities. I personally think the universities, I'm not even thinking that's like a top 10 issue right now. You got medical tyranny, you got taxes, homelessness, poverty, forced masking. And that's the first thing the Republicans do. HBCUs, cool. Like, that's fine. But at what point do we focus on other stuff? Someone said Spike Cohen 2024. I don't know much about Spike Cohen besides his tweets, but it seems like he's a pretty principled libertarian. And I don't know that the Libertarian Party can win, but I agree with them on taxes. I agree with them on liberty and stuff. So, they actually reached out to me, not like fully, but I tweeted, libertarians are right about taxes. Taxation is theft. And they were like in my DMs, they're like, anomaly. They're trying to recruit me or something. I'm like, I'm not into politics, but I appreciate it. Someone said we were all played, trust the Lord only. Exactly. But there's so much. Let me get optimistic now. Cause now I already complained or, let's talk positive. We are winning the culture war right now. Okay. If you look at iTunes, it's always Bryson Gray. My buddy High Res is on there. Tom McDonald. If you look at the podcast, people are listening to Alex Jones. I'm sorry. Well, that too. But I mean, people are listening to Joe Rogan. People are listening to Tim Pool talk to Alex Jones and Joe. Like, we're winning the culture. So the future can belong to us if people keep on it. I'm not trying to be like, oh my God, we're so screwed. Like, no, we're winning because people want the truth. People are tired of like Sank Yogurt or Chunk Yogurt or whatever his name is. People are tired of like Joy Reid. These people are not actually popular. I was looking at like a TikTok from Joy Reid or whatever, because my buddy was complaining about it. He was like, look how racist Joy Reid is or something. So I looked at her TikTok and of course it was like dumb. And I'm like, what, like, it was just like ignorant, whatever. But then I went to her TikTok and she's got 12,000 followers and like 100,000 likes on all her posts. I'm just saying for like analytics reason, I've been on TikTok for 1 month. I barely post on TikTok. I got millions of likes. I almost got 100,000 followers. I got one video that's got more views than all her videos. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, like, no one likes Joy Reid. Nobody likes Brian Stelter. Who do people want to listen to? Me, Tim Pool, Joe Rogan. Like we're winning everything. We're winning music. We're winning podcasting. We're winning Facebook. So we got this. It's just with our, power comes responsibility, but with our movement that now we have built, we got huge Instagram pages, huge social media. We're building other platforms. We just have to hold the Republican Party accountable, and more people are going to run. It's not this crazy mean thing. I'm not saying to hate these people, but it's like they're not going to stop until people identify that they're passing speech laws, and they're going to be like, oh shoot, you got us. Like some of these people are just like smooth salesmen. They're like a car salesman. You're like, oh darn it, you got me. I feel like that's the Republican Party. We just got to point it out. Someone said Russell Brand. Russell Brand's doing a great job. Another Democrat, I don't know that Russell Brand's a Democrat, but one Democrat that I love is Robert Kennedy Jr. I bought his book on Anthony Fauci. It's a bestseller. Who's number one on Amazon? He is. That like the truth is moving. So I don't want people to feel pessimistic or down. We just have to get people comfortable with, it's so strange, honestly, because like everybody knew like 5 years ago that politicians are politicians. Trump came around and he just scrambled everyone's brains. You got the left just can't think straight at all, and then the right just wants to defend them to the grave. It's like, just be honest and make these people work for you. Make them work for you. That's it. We got this. I'm going to read a super chat. Someone said, Thermonomics said, I agree with the hypocrisy of only being libertarian when it's pro NWO, but let's focus on him passing authoritarian laws instead of being weak when he doesn't meddle in local affairs, using the latter. I hear you, Thermonomics. We had a big debate about this, but I think that the governor at a certain point has a responsibility to stop authoritarianism. I'm sorry. I think I'm putting this in the category that we had a whole debate about it, but like, you're not allowed to steal. You're not allowed to kill. You're not allowed to beat your wife. You're not allowed to like beat your kids into submission. You're not allowed to abuse people. I consider this abuse. I agree with Thomas Massey. Forced injections is violence. That's what Thomas Massey always says. I agree. Listen, there are side effects to this vaccine. Are they rare? Sure. But if they're rare and they're real, especially in my age group, it's already being studied. The most at risk is usually men, younger men with myocarditis. I'm not saying every guy who gets the vaccine gets it. I'm not even saying it's 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000. Even if it was 1 in a million or 1 in 100,000 or 1 in 20 million, whatever that number is, they know it exists. And Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson have protected themselves from liability. They are not liable. So if they're not liable, who's liable? You're liable. So if I'm liable for something that they know exists and they're trying to put a needle in me that I don't want, that's violence. So I don't look at it like a libertarian, the governor shouldn't do anything. It's like, no, that you're supposed to enforce the law of the land, and that is violence. Forced masking, in my opinion, is abuse. It's abusive. There's laws against slavery in this country. You can't just have a full-blown slave. I don't want to exaggerate, but I do think that forced masking is abusive. I think it's mentally abusive, psychologically abusive, and I also think it's physically abusive. You couldn't just put your employees down and do, Chinese water torture on their head or whatever. I didn't kill them. I was just torturing them. It's like, that's what I think all this is. So I don't put it in the category of like, oh, it's just a policy. It's like, no, it's violent and it's abusive. So, I prefer, listen, Ron DeSantis has his shortfalls, but he at least is doing something. We've had a debate about this, but I don't like them sitting back. And once again, they didn't sit back in 2020. So I hear what you're saying, Thermonomics. I appreciate the super chat, but they always go socialist. They always go Democrat. They always go authoritarian, and they go communist. And then once they did all this damage, then they just sit back and then they act like they're libertarians. I'm sorry. I do not believe in that. That's not, to be fair, as much as I like libertarians on tax policy, I'm not a libertarian, and I've never claimed to be. I'm libertarian-ish. I think the government's too big. I think the Republican Party is not libertarian enough. But I'm not Michael Malice or Luke Radnowski or however you say his last name. No disrespect to them. I actually like both of them a lot. I'm just saying they're anarchists. They believe in full-blown libertarianism. That's not my policy. So I don't agree. I don't agree with that either, but I'm sure we could have a big debate about it. I like them, but I don't think I'm not a libertarian. I just agree with them on some things. AJS said, what do you think about crypto for getting us out of this mess? Let's go Brandon Coin. FJB seems like a great way to stick it to the system. I will say this. I'm backing crypto. I probably shouldn't be, but I'm backing crypto. because of and this is probably a stupid reason, so this is not financial advice. I thought it was pretty impressive that they bought or they paid off the Laker Stadium. Laker Stadium is called Staples Center, and it's going to be crypto.com. That's going to be the name of the center. That made me think, okay, that's pretty big. I think that's one of the biggest moves in a while. So if they have enough money to sponsor, Staples Center, formerly known as Staples Center, now it's crypto.com, that's pretty promising. So I got some more coins. So I'm gonna hold the coins for a couple years. I'm not selling. If I lose it, whatever. But I'm not like a massive crypto fanatic. I don't think it's gonna solve all our problems, but I'm gonna roll the dice. We'll see what happens. This is not financial advice at all. Thank y'all for being here. We got like 1,500 people between the two. I appreciate it. Thermonomics said, sorry, I got to say this. Most crypto, including Bitcoin, is a huge scam. I'll debate anyone on this. I hear you, bro. I'm not like a crypto fanatic. To me, it's more like an investment / gamble. I can't say I'm like completely sold on it. So I don't even have to debate you, but maybe one time I could hook you up with someone who actually knows more. Someone said politics won't win back America. A lot of times when I complain on Twitter, to me, let me know in the comments. Do I sound like I complain a lot? Sometimes I just type things and I'm just like thinking, I think and I type, and people think I'm very naggy, I guess. Sometimes it comes off that way, but I don't, I'm just giving my 2 cents really, but I think that culture really pushes the needle. So this is what a lot of people like. To me, they say you got to run for office. Bryson Gray's a rapper, but he said he wants to run for office, which is dope. But I don't want to run for office. And I think just because you're not in politics, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not doing anything. I think when, police chiefs and athletes and nurses and doctors and everybody, workers, truck drivers, whatever your job is, if you do a great job, I think it's important. But also we need people in the culture and in, other elements to step up. So I think I know politics is important, but to me, I think politicians will change when people change. So I think we need to move the culture. For an example, if you look at Bill Clinton in 1994 or whatever, he passed a crime bill, right? Why did Bill Clinton, a Democrat, pass a crime bill? It's because the culture wasn't so brainwashed, and that was something that Democrats didn't care about. They weren't trying to defund the police, they were trying to ramp it up. A lot of people think that crime bill was the worst thing he ever did. It was horrible for black people. Other people think it made crime go down, right? There's a debate to be had there. I've seen it. I know a lot of people hate that bill. Some people say, listen, I don't think it was as bad as people think. I'm not here to debate that. But the point I'm saying is, why did the Democratic Party go from passing crime bills to defunding the police? Why did JFK go from being a moderate to being a full-blown socialist? It's because the culture shifted. You get what I'm saying? Like, once the culture shifts, the politicians move. You've seen Barack Obama go from being against gay marriage to being for gay marriage. And California in the 2000s voted against gay marriage. People don't know that. Gay marriage was never that popular, but they did like this, everybody has to follow the law. The point I'm getting to is the culture shifted and then the people follow. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not saying I'm that important or great or anything. I'm just saying, like, I could run for office, but really I feel like changing the culture, like what everybody's doing, all of us on social media, that's what's going to make the Republican, like you can vote your behind off, but until you change the perception and change the culture, things are not going to change. So, it's definitely part of the equation, getting a good politician, but don't downplay what we're doing and what other people are doing, because it's not all about just running for office. We have to make it so unpopular to not do the right thing, and then a lot of these politicians, they just go which way the wind blows. Look at Chuck Schumer 10 years ago. Chuck Schumer 10 years ago is not Chuck Schumer this year. Chuck Schumer 20 years ago is not Chuck Schumer 20 years ago. Joe Biden today is not Joe Biden from 2005. These politicians, they go whichever way the money goes, or they go as far as they could go with the money until people realize what they're doing and push back. So it's this whole game they're playing. That's why it's so important, whether you love Trump or whether you hate Trump, it's important to just pay attention, or Biden or whoever, AOC or Ilhan Omar. It's so important to not get too like attached to hating someone or loving someone, because that's the game we're playing. We're playing a game of politics. It's like watching a magician and not paying attention. It's like he's going to come out under your table. So like that's what's going on. Doesn't mean you have to hate Donald Trump or obsess over Donald Trump. You have to understand he played a role. He did a lot. He didn't do some things, and he's now a politician. He's now a businessman. And, you know, sometimes a businessman will do business with Big Pharma, and sometimes he won't do business with you. You know, it's like, don't get so attached to loving or hating these people, because that's how they get away with it. They did such a good job to our country. If I were to play devil's advocate or whatever and like look at this as a chessboard, they did a really good job from 2016 to 2020. They like spun people around. They got, is it not wild how much they control people? Like, I hate Trump. I don't want to get the vaccine because Trump rushed it. Oh, Trump's out of office. Now I love the vaccine. Like, this, isn't that crazy? Like, people are literally that easy to control. They're just like running them side to side. So that's where we come in. It's like, you know, you got to not be too emotional about it. Someone said God is great. I agree. So someone said, please don't become a politician. I don't want to. I'm not built like that. At least not now. Maybe when I'm like 70 or 60, but I don't like politics. I like sports. I like music. I'm so excited for my song with Bryson Gray. You guys know Bryson, he hit the Billboard charts, which is super impressive with the Let's Go Brandon song. I mean, you're talking about an independent artist with no label hitting the Hot 100 Billboard charts. That's enormous. And he reached out to me to do a song. I mean, I've been wanting to for a while. We already have a song, but this, I'm telling you, it's a smash hit. So we'll see when it comes out, but I just recorded it today. I'm super pumped. Someone said if Trump came back into office, Cindy said, if Trump came back into office tomorrow, he would have this country back on track within days. Cindy, God bless you. I appreciate your opinion. Here's mine. I think that's what they want you to think. So you just think that Trump's going to do that. I'm not being mean. I'm just being honest. If you watch from March 2020 until the George Floyd riots, Trump did not have this country on the right track. I'm not blaming him. I'm trying to ease in on it. I'm not saying it's all his fault. I'm just saying he sat there and just watched everybody burn down the cities. He couldn't stop the George Floyd riots. He couldn't help Kenosha. He couldn't help Los Angeles. He couldn't help New York. He couldn't stop. He wasn't going to do anything. He didn't stop Gavin Newsom. He didn't stop Cuomo. He didn't stop Murphy. In fact, Trump did what I said that Republicans always do. He gave them everything they wanted. He gave Gavin Newsom everything he wanted. He gave Cuomo everything he wanted. He gave Phil Murphy everything he wanted. And if you recall, most people don't because they didn't pay attention as much. But Trump was like, oh, they like me. Oh, we're getting along. I'm like, duh. They like you because you're giving them authoritarian power. So he helped them get all this power. And then he sat back and just watched them destroy, you know, the people who live there. He didn't have this country under control. He didn't have it under control in November, December, January. So why would Trump being back into office get everything under control? Would it be better? Sure. Would taxes be lower? Probably. Would it be less communist? Sure. But like, it's a fairy tale, and it's like counterproductive to be like, all we need is Trump back. He'd have us on the right track in a day. Like, no, he wouldn't. And it's not even to say it's all his fault, but we got more work to do than just him getting there. He clearly couldn't do that. So I don't understand why people think that. What are my criticisms toward Ron DeSantis? I really only have one thing to say that I don't like Ron DeSantis does, and it's what every Republican does. I tell people this all the time, not to be mean, but their main agenda is not America first. The Republican Party, their main agenda is not looking out for workers. their top priority is always Zionism. Their top priority is always serving the state of Israel. So my one criticism, my only criticism really, of Ron DeSantis is he went to a foreign country and passed a bill to say that you're not allowed to say certain things in classrooms. He passed a speech law in Israel for Israel. And I don't like that. It's not because I hate Israel. I love Israel. I don't like speech laws. So he passed a law that was, oh, it's religious freedom. If you want religious freedom, don't pass any speech laws. Let Christians, Muslims, Hindus, Jews, let everybody have a conversation in this country. That's how protect religious freedom. You don't pass a religious laws for non-religious people and don't even include your own religion. That's what Ron DeSantis did. So that's my big criticism. But listen, Trump, Ted Cruz, they all do this. They all are massive Zionists. And I'm not saying you're a bad person if you're a Zionist. That's not what I'm saying. God bless Zionists. I'm just saying that's their number one agenda. It's not you. It's not your country. It's not your constitution. They will upend your constitution for that agenda. That's how you know that that's their number one agenda. They don't even care about the First Amendment. That's my only criticism around DeSantis. Is it the biggest thing in the world? I mean, I would say the First Amendment's pretty big, but it's just like at a certain point, either they have to serve this country first, or we're just going to keep like losing things. Like, that's just my opinion. But someone said, be careful, LOL. I don't care what I say because I'm not a hateful person. So like, people will lie about what I'm saying, but if I felt negative, then I would keep it to myself, right? I'm so transparent. It's the type where like I say everything publicly because I'm not trying to hide how I feel. I don't hate anybody. I love the First Amendment. So I'm not afraid to say what I just said because it's the truth. I don't hate people. I got friends that we have different foreign policies. We have different religions. I'm fine. It's I love people for who they are. I don't care if people love Israel or love Palestine. My question is like, how good of a person are you? So this topic, it's not like I hate one side and I love the other side and I want to hurt somebody. I would love to see Israel and Palestine hold hands and dance to Jackson 5. Like, that's my dream, but it's not up to me. So I'm not afraid to say this because it's not a hateful thing. Someone said there's nothing with Zionism that has to do with DeSantis. That's not true. I mean, you could think that, but that's not what's going on. I'm not even being mean. There's like, he won do you want me to show you an award? Google Ron DeSantis wins a Zionist award. He wins award at organizations. I'm not being mean about it. It's not like there's a lot of people that are like, I'm a proud Zionist. It's not a big deal. It's just like the speech laws are a big deal. Let me see. I'm going right to his website. For the person who says there's nothing Zionist about Ron DeSantis, this is right off his website. He's holding a big plaque. It's on his Twitter. He said, I was honored to receive the Zionist Hero Award at the Zionist Organization of America's National Heroes for Israel dinner. I will continue to work to strengthen Florida's longstanding relationship with Israel, as well as combat anti-Semitism and discrimination against our Jewish communities. So I don't understand, like, he's getting awards from the Zionist Organization of America for being like the Zionist of the year or whatever. I'm not like, it is what it is. I'm not trying to be mean about it. I'm just saying, like, there's nothing about him what are you talking about? He's winning literal awards. It's like saying that Babe Ruth wasn't a baseball player. It's like, yeah, he was. Like, it doesn't mean he was a bad person. I'm just saying, like, Babe Ruth hit a lot of home runs, and that's someone said, what's wrong with that? I just explained. Passing a speech law is wrong. If you're winning awards, there's nothing wrong with that. I hope he wins a Grammy. I would love to see Ron DeSantis win a Grammy. The problem is that all these Republicans are passing anti-First Amendment speech laws. That's my problem. I don't believe in hate speech when it comes to talking about race, religion, or gender. If you want to live in a country with hate laws, go to Pakistan. Go to, you know what I'm saying? They don't believe in free speech in Saudi Arabia. And listen, I don't even have a problem with that. God bless my Muslim brothers and sisters. But if you want speech laws, go live under Sharia law. Honestly, you'll probably learn a lot. But in general, America's not supposed to have speech laws. So I believe in the First Amendment. Why is that bad? Because I don't know. Is it not? Maybe we should just not have free speech then. I don't know. Let's let everybody pass speech laws, and then you can get arrested. You can go to jail for saying something about someone. Why is that bad? What are you talking about? I don't know. Go live in Germany and question history. They'll throw you in prison. Is that good? Maybe. I don't know. I think it's bad, but maybe you think it's good. Then go to Germany. But like, why is infringing on the First Amendment bad? What do you mean? It always escalates. It's like 15 days to slow the spread. Oh, you hate your grandma. It's like you hate Jewish people. No, it's about the escalation. Listen, did anybody learn anything? I don't hate gay people, but they said that, oh, they're just getting married. And it's like, okay, is that what happened? Clearly not. Now the LGBT is like the freaking Italian mafia. It's like Dave Chappelle said what? DaBaby said what? You can't quit. You're better off questioning Jesus Christ and, the George Washington than some random gay guy. They'll cancel you in a second. So what's wrong with this? It's like, well, the fact that it escalates, you know what I'm saying? And then you can't stop it. So when it comes to free speech, what do you mean? Stop passing speech laws. I don't get like this. We live in such a fake society. You can't say you're racist, you're anti-Semitic, you're xenophobic, you hurt my feelings. Like everything is hate speech. They're canceling comedians that are not even that edgy, like Andrew Schultz, who happens to be Jewish, by the way. But in general, I'm just saying he's getting canceled. Why is he getting canceled? Because he's funny? I don't know. Because Canada is like a communist country where you can't have free speech. I don't want that in America. I want Jews, Christians, Muslims, white people, black people to be able to have the First Amendment. That's what I like. What do you, I don't understand why this is even controversial among a group of like conservatives. But someone said, I was not saying speech laws. I was talking about supporting Israel. This is the point I'm always making. If people just support Israel, there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. The problem is everybody in the Republican Party who supports Israel passes speech laws. Donald Trump passed an executive order. They passed a hate speech resolution in Congress against Ilhan Omar. Ted Cruz was on it. Glenn Youngkin's talking about it. That's the problem. That's my problem. I don't care if people support Israel. I have probably hundreds, if not thousands of people who live in Israel who listen to my live streams. You think I hate them? Of course not. If you support them, I've been invited. People are like, dude, if you come to Israel, you can live in my house. Like, that's how much Israelis like me. God bless Israel. I wouldn't want them to pass a speech law in Israel that says you can't criticize America. Why? I think Israelis should be allowed to criticize America. And if you're Jewish, you should be allowed to criticize white people. And if you're white, you should be allowed to talk about Jewish people. I don't believe in hate speech. I don't think it's a real thing. I think a lot of people hate the truth. Certain people are hateful, but just call them out. You don't need a law that says you can't say that. It will always escalate. So there's nothing wrong with supporting Israel, but there is something wrong with passing laws to say that you can't criticize them. And that's what DeSantis, Trump, Youngkin, Cruz, everybody in the Republican Party does. And I'll tell you another thing too. I'm not going to hype myself up, but man, if you can take the gems that I'm saying, then take them. But if you can't, I don't know what to tell you. There's specific reasons that they do this too. Do they love Israel and they love Jewish people? Of course, they're so nice, but also there's a lot of money involved. That's why they're passing bills to say that you can't say that there's money involved. Do you think Donald Trump just ran around the country and was like, Pfizer, okay? I love Pfizer, okay? Moderna, okay? Donald Trump doesn't give excuse my language, he doesn't give a crap about Pfizer and Moderna. Maybe he got money. I know he got money. He got $1 million to his inauguration from Pfizer. He put a pharmacy lobbyist as a head of health and human services. He got millions of dollars from Big Pharma in 2020. Maybe there's an incentive for him to sell the product. He did it. He pushed $11 or $12 billion to Big Pharma in Operation Warp Speed. Now he's attached at the hip with them. So it doesn't make you an anti-pharmaphobe. Oh my God, I love pharmacy. Are you an anti-pharmaphobe? It's like, no, this is how lobbying works. What are you talking about? This is how the lobbying industry works. So when it comes to certain donors, they give money to the Republican Party and then they pass speech laws because that's what the big donors want them to do. It's the same thing on the left wing. It's not everybody, but there's a reason this is all happening. They don't really care. You think they care about Israelis? If Donald Trump and DeSantis, I'm not going to say DeSantis, but Donald Trump cares about Israelis so much, why doesn't he use his email list to say, hey, I disagree with what Israel's government's doing. I disagree with the mandates. I disagree with the booster shots. He doesn't do that. He just tweets about how he gets along with the Israeli government. And, it's like he doesn't, if he cared so much about Jewish people in Israel, he wouldn't need to pass speech laws in order to prove it. He would just prove it by being a good person. But he only uses them. He's like, oh, we're passing these hate speech laws. And then they're being booster shotted into oblivion. And all of a sudden, none of these Republicans have very much to say about Israel. Do you know why? Because they don't care that much. That's not why they're passing speech laws. Oh, I love black people so much, so I'm going to fund, hate speech laws against them. That's not how it works. That's the fakest thing you can do. Oh, yeah, the only way to prove I like Hispanics is to pass laws to say you can't criticize Mexico. It's like, what? That's not how you show that you love somebody. You get what I'm saying? I have friends that are Jewish. I don't like walk into their house and say, to prove how loyal I am to your ethnicity, I pass a speech law. That's fake. That's corny. You know what I'm saying? If I did that, my friends would be like, oh, he doesn't really like us. He's just pandering. My friends know I like them because I talk to them like people and they're my friends and I trust them and I like, having normal conversations. I don't just like, hey, dude, should I pass more speech laws? Like, that's not how you prove that you like a group of people. I don't know why people think that that's what the Republican Party's doing. They're like, oh, no, he just really likes them. It's like, yeah, but you don't have to prove. When's he going to prove that he likes me? When am I? My gosh. Someone said most people can't. I don't know. Someone said Republicans are scared to get cut from the varsity team. For sure, there's certain things that you don't do. You don't think there's a lot of pressure in the Republican Party to do this? Do you remember what happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene? She went on she apologized and she went to like a Holocaust museum or something. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not anti-Semitic. It's just she said something goofy or whatever, and they got mad at her. That's the one thing you just can't say in the Republican Party. They'll send you to a freaking Holocaust museum with a rabbi, and you got to go on a Nick Cannon apology tour. Did you see what happened when Nick Cannon criticized somebody? He had a rabbi on his thing. He read Barry Weiss's book and did a book report on it. It's like, bro, he hasn't done a book report since high school, but they got him out here doing book reports. And then they're passing laws to say that you can't say that there's certain power. It's like, how much power is it if Nick Cannon has to do a book report for, did he do that under his own free will? Maybe, but maybe people said, hey, Nick, you better apologize. Or, Marjorie, you better go to this museum and apologize or else, we're going to strip you from your duties. Or maybe they did strip her from her duties. This is how it works. So yeah, they're for sure afraid of getting cut from the varsity team because everybody's so damn sensitive. I'm sorry. I don't need to go to a museum to prove that I like somebody. If you see me at a museum, it probably means that I don't like you. That's fake to me. Oh, I said something mean about a black guy. I'm sorry. I went to the African American Museum in New York City to apologize. How that's so stupid. I mean, I could do that or something I apologize for saying something rude. I've been studying Michael Jordan basketball highlights for a while, and I have newfound respect for black athletes. It's like, oh yeah, wow, you're so, whoa, you really, oh yeah, I thought you were racist, but now you just blew my mind because you went to a museum. It's so corny, but that's what politics is. You got to play the game. I don't want to play. Someone said, okay, we get it. So you're against speech laws to protect Jews, but to the point of Israel as the center of the world. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I don't believe that speech laws protect Jewish people. I think the Iron Dome protects Jewish people. Why? Because it's like a missile defense system. I think the wall in Israel protects Jewish people. Why? Because it's a physical wall. Speech laws do not protect Jews. And here's the thing that there's going to be a shockwave sent throughout the world. And this goes to my ethnic group as well. You have to have self-accountability and self-awareness. If you want no self-accountability, no self-awareness, if you constantly cry victim and pass speech laws when people want to have an equal discussion about you like you have with them, it's not going to protect you. It's only going to make you more hated. It's only going to make you more a target. So, sometimes in one hand, there are hateful people out there, no question. But on another hand, it's like, why do you want to say as a group, we're gonna organize as a group and pass 1 million speech laws in our favor, but then when it comes to having self accountability as a group, you say it's hate speech. Oh, I don't want it. I don't want any. It's like, well, okay, you can't legislate hate out of people's heart. It's only going to hurt you more. It's only going to have more bad karma. You can lie to God, you could lie to yourself, you could lie to the world, you could pass all the speech laws, but God is real and karma, the golden rule is real. So it's like you can't run away from that. And I'm not saying that anyone's doing specific things, but like speech laws don't protect Black people. Speech laws don't protect LGBT. Oh, we need a speech law to protect the gay people. It's like speech laws don't protect gay people. It only makes people more annoyed at you because now it's like you can joke about everybody, but you can't joke about them. It doesn't make them more protected. It makes them more despicable. So this is a false framing that everyone says, if you want to protect Israel, build a wall, get a good defense system. Don't pass speech laws in America and Germany and try to throw people in jail. That's only going to make people more suspicious of you. So, it's not a solution to stopping violence. It doesn't work. And you're not going to hear this from many people because a lot of people are hateful. I don't hate anybody, so I'm willing to talk about it because I don't blame everybody for your bad opinions, and I don't blame it's like I don't blame every Jewish person in the world for what the government's doing or what certain people are doing. Like I don't do that. I don't do that with anybody. So it's like I'll have a real conversation about it because I don't have hate in my heart. It's like there's good people everywhere and there's annoying people everywhere. So it's not in my vocabulary to like blame you, but it's like if you want no accountability, it's not going to work. And I don't think it does work. All right, we'll read some questions. Someone said they are only words. How many people have died from someone saying negative things about them? But here's when people do die. If you want to talk about Germany, if you want to talk about China, if you want to talk about Russia, if you want to talk about, people do die when authoritarianism and communism comes in. Communism and corrupt governments have killed more people than anything. Like one of the biggest killers in human history has been corrupt governments. So that's why I'm so tough on this, because passing a speech law is not saving a life, but when you do pass speech laws, you become a totalitarian. You are shutting down free speech. And if you shut down enough free speech, people will literally be hurt. And I find it very odd that you're not allowed to criticize a foreign government who is forcing booster shots on people. Listen, you might love booster shots. You might think it's crazy. Maybe you like mandates, but if you're not allowed to compare them to a regime of the past while they're implementing like total authoritarianism through the medical field, you think that's helping Jewish people by stopping people from criticizing their government that has them on this cycle of like authoritarianism? I don't wish that on anybody. So, it's stopping you from helping them. It's stopping you from helping your own country. It's a fake thought process that you're doing these laws to help them in the real world. It's hurting them. It's hurting everybody. It's like you're going to not be allowed to criticize the government, their government, your government, rich people, TV directors. That's what they're pushing. These laws are not for your like. I'm not just saying this to pander, but some of my best friends are Jewish. I have a lot of Jewish friends and they don't act this way. But in general, the reason I bring them up, these laws that they're passing, they're not for my friends. My friends don't own media companies. My friends don't, run Hollywood or what. Like, this is not what these laws are for. I'm not friends with Mark Zuckerberg. Like, I'm not friends with Susan Wojcicki. You get what I'm saying? Like, George Soros is not my buddy. No offense, just not. These laws are not for your friends. These laws are not for you. If you're Jewish, I can almost guarantee you they're not to help you. It's like, unless you have like massive stake in like, controlling the lives of tens of millions of people through mass media or social media, or you have a conglomerate company where you're like an Elon Musk type where you have a lot of employees. If you're just like average to above average, like wealthy or decent income people, these laws are not for you. These laws are not for you. If you're watching me on Facebook, I could guarantee you these laws are never going to help you. So Elev said I'm one of them. Yeah, these laws are not for the Israel. How does it help Israelis when you're not allowed to defend them? If I were to say, hey, I don't like what the government's doing because I actually like Israelis, they would be like, whoa, cool it with the anti-Semitism, mister. Like, these laws are not for you. Just like the word racist. That's what I'm writing my book about. I'm almost done. I've been cranking it out. I'm going to put it all out there because I love people. And it's like, these words don't make any sense. Even the word racist, it's like, what does that even mean? According to who? It depends who's saying it. It means everything. You're racist. You're racist. This is racist. Like, it's all just a word to squash dissent, take away free speech. These words are evil. These words are evil. It is authoritarianism, pretending to be social justice. I'm hitting it with a hammer without screwing up my finger again. Here's a good comment. I appreciate it. Ronsky said, I'm not as worried about the GOP doing much on speech laws. The left is far more insidious when it comes to the First Amendment. Here's the thing, Ronsky. This is what I'm talking about. And I appreciate you for saying that because it's true. Someone said it's Eliav. I pronounced your name wrong. It's okay. You could just call me an anti-Semite. I'm bad with names. If I pronounce an Indian person's name wrong, you can call me an anti-Indiaphobe too. But in general, I'm terrible with French. I'm Americana. I screw up every other language. Sorry about that. I'm bad with foreign names. But in general, you're right. The left is worse with free speech. But you get what I'm saying? They're really bad, and the Republicans are just kind of bad. It's like that. To me, that's not what I want to do. I want to go the other way. I want to get the First Amendment back. So I agree with you. The left's worse, but that's the point of my whole live stream, is saying the left is running towards authoritarianism and the right is creeping there. And this is a perfect analogy of what Glenn Youngkin's doing. Authoritarianism comes, he gets into power, he doesn't do anything about it, and then he just adds a little bit of his own. That's who the Republican Party is. They don't do anything about the left. They let them just keep doing it, and then they just sprinkle on a little bit of communism and authoritarianism on top. That's who they are. So you're totally right. The left is worse, but here's a crazy thought process. It would be like if Lance Armstrong, with his one testicle, I'm just saying, he has it, God bless him, but it would be like if Lance Armstrong was like slowly going the other way. And I'm like, bro, go that way. You're going the wrong way. That's the Republican Party. Yeah, I'm not that worried about it. I am, because they're going the wrong way. They need to go that way. They're not cycling in the right direction. So yeah, they're better than the Democrats, but they're going the wrong way, and it's never going to get better unless they go the other way. And they will go the other way because, it's coming. People understand now, and most people are good people. They just need, a little bit. Sometimes times get tough, and it inspires people, and then you go the other way. But we got to go the other way. Someone said we need a new party that will. I think the Republican Party can do it, but people have to hold them accountable. You know what I'm saying? There's too much. It's always a thing. This is how I feel about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial too. I think I'm not saying it's like a complete diversion, but it's like there's always going to be something, right? We're going to defend this person. And I'm not saying you can't defend them. I'm just saying there's always an event to pin left against right. There's always going to be that. So there's almost no time to ever like self-reflect on your party and be like, hey, what could we be doing better? So we don't need to leave the Republican Party, but we have to stop acting like they're going in the right direction. It's like vote for them, applaud their good things, boo their bad things. But there's always a big event, like when Afghanistan happened, right? That to me was, not good for Joe Biden. It was good for Republicans as far as it's not good for the country. People died. But I'm just saying Like, sadly, like, it's like the George Floyd riots. Those were horrible, but they went in the favor of Democrats, like, poll wise. It's terrible to think that way, but this is how politicians think. Never let a crisis go to waste. But in general, when Afghanistan came around, now Republicans are talking about that for 2 months. I'm not saying it's not good to talk about, because it's important to stand up for our veterans, etc. But now people don't even remember what they did in 2020. It's like, well, we have the Afghanistan and we have the George Floyd riots and we did, like, there's always going to be something to make people forget that they're not really doing that much, because you're like, oh man, that's horrible. We really need to get our guy back in. Like, it's the same story. Someone said Timcast or Alex Jones's show, maybe. Please go on Timcast or Alex's show. I would love to talk to Tim if I got invited. Um, I think I got invited one time, but I don't know. He's in Austin now, I think. Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate it. Thank you. Someone said the establishment Republicans are the problem. Right now, they are working on getting rid of any Trump loyalists. Thank you, Wilbur, for the comment. To me, that framing is wrong, because Trump is not your guy. He's a vaccine salesman who put in a bunch of swamp creatures. So if you're playing this game, it's the establishment versus Trump, and they're trying to get rid of any loyalists. Trump isn't even loyal to his own people. Steve Bannon was good to him, and he called him a dirty dog and said he cried like a baby. He put in a pharmacy lobbyist as the head of human health services. He passed an executive order in 2019 to help Fauci and Gates in the medical industry. So if the game you're playing is it's Trump versus the establishment, you already lost. It's over. Pack it in, because this idea, it's just not true. I was hoping it was. We were looking for a big ending, but Trump isn't this outsider who only put in the greatest people. He put in a bunch of terrible people. Amy Coney Barrett sides with forced mandatory injections. He put one of the biggest pharmacy lobbyists as the head of the entire health department. Oh, he's draining the swamp. It was good branding. He was a genius marketer. He marketed this idea that he was going to be this revolutionary outsider, and he turned out not to be. So we're never going to have success in this party if you think it's Trump versus the anti-loyalists. It's like everyone's a rhino except for Trump. He's not even a top 15 Republican right now. I'm not saying he's not. He is the most popular, but he's not who you think he is. So if this is the Republican Party, you already lost. It's like, oh man, we got to get Trump back in, and the loyal. Who is he loyal to? What did he do? All right, I'm going to ask a question just out of like interest, because I know there are some things. I'm not saying this to say that nothing was done, but anybody who like really appreciates Trump and stuff, let me know in the comments and I'll read it. Let me know like one or two policies that he did, because he did do some. I know, like, he helped veterans, etc. Name a few policies that Trump put into place that are still there, that weren't completely destroyed within weeks of Biden, or that stood the test of time through the pandemic. Because like all these things he was doing, like unemployment, this and that, it all got wiped away. So I'm just trying to figure out, without being mean, because I know there are some stuff, but like, what exactly do you think he did? What did Trump do that was awesome? I'm just gonna read some comments. Let me see. Like, which one of his policies or economic things, like which ones are here? And I'm gonna read a few. Let's see. Someone said Jerusalem embassy, animal abuse criminalization. Let me see. Trump put our city mayors and our city councils as the head of the medical emergency in the United States, and they're still in charge. I'm not sure. Let me see. Trump scared the crap out of Democrats. I think that's a good answer, because it shows that that's not really policy. Someone said Trump ordered a critically important investigation into foreign money pouring into our education system. Let's see. Expose the media. I think that that's true. Someone said we had safe borders with him. definitely better than Biden. But I feel like there were still a lot of illegals coming in. I think Trump said he was going to reverse DACA, and I don't think he did that. Um, I'm not saying he didn't do anything because I know I'm just trying to like because all these things I thought he was doing, he completely undid them all in 2020. Like everything awesome was like completely ruined. But expose the media. I think that's true. I think that's absolutely true. Someone said Trump pardoned Lil Wayne, highlight of his presidency. I did like the Lil Wayne pardon, but I think Julian Assange probably would have been nice. Yeah, I agree with people. The media was probably the most important thing he did, which wasn't even a policy, but exposing the media, calling them out, getting people to realize how fake and evil they really were. I think that's true. Someone said he showed us what could be done if he really wanted to. He protected the borders. Definitely better than a Democrat, but I don't know. I feel like there were still hundreds of thousands of people coming across during his presidency, but there's no question he's better than Biden. They're just opening the borders. Like it's so crazy what they're doing to us right now. They're like purposely flooding it. I get why people prefer him. I would if it came down to him and Biden, I would obviously vote for Trump again. I just wouldn't support him in the primaries. But you know, he definitely has like a it kind of sucks now too because he's almost 80 years old. Where I would love if he just got behind somebody. I think he's like a great hype man and he's always a great voice, but it's like he's getting kind of up there, where I don't know. He seemed to have lost a little luster. Gas prices lowered. I think that's true. Um, Someone said brought Christianity to the forefront. I do think that's true. Um, Someone said he tried. I think that's true. I didn't say it in like a rhetorical, messed up way. I was just trying to figure out because I read he had a like a list of stuff on his website that he did, and I felt like a lot of them were undone, and a lot of them were like I did the warp speed, but there were some things. I think he did a good job in Syria. I don't know exactly the timing. If he, I know there's some people who try to not give him credit, but I always gave him credit. What Obama and Hillary did in Syria was crazy. So I think he did a good job over there. Who would I want for the next press? People always ask me that. I would prefer Rand Paul. If I could choose like anybody, I like Thomas Massey and Rand Paul. I got to see who runs, but I'll tell you, if everybody ran, like I would prefer. This is probably not going to happen, but I would vote for Rand Paul before anybody. I would vote for Thomas Massey before anybody. If Candace Owens seriously ran, I would vote for her before I voted for Trump. If DeSantis ran, I would vote for DeSantis before Trump. If, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'd vote for Ted Cruz before I voted for Trump. And I don't even like Ted Cruz that much, but I think Ted Cruz actually would do similar to Trump, except for people would be paying attention because people don't like Ted Cruz that much. To me, the scariest thing about Trump is that nobody wants to criticize this guy. So it's like he just has like free range to just do whatever, and no one even cares on his base. And then the media just makes it into a whole circus. I can't even say Trump's like a top 20 pick in my head, but it's not up to me. So any of those people I would vote for before him. Someone said Bannon. Yeah, I like Steve Bannon, but I don't know how much. I don't know if he's even going to run. I think Mike Pompeo is probably going to run unless he's going to run as vice president or something. I probably wouldn't vote for him either. No offense, but I'm not really interested in his campaign. But good luck to him. I think Ron Paul is a gem, man. Ron Paul was like an American legend. Rand Paul is his son, and he's, a little different, but to me, that would make me feel optimistic about this country if Rand Paul won. I think he's the most promising because root level. I talk about this a lot. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but root level is like taxes. I think that's such a big issue that people don't realize. Like, you can vote for Trump and he signs the omnibus bill. And like, I truly believe Rand Paul would not do that. Like Trump was like, oh, I got to sign it. I got to do the CARES Act. I got to do this. I got to fund this. I think Rand Paul, he is like kind of libertarian where he'd be like, bro, I'm not signing that. I will not do this. So I think like, he understands the Federal Reserve, and, I'm not trying to blame them for everything, but I think a big portion of the government is how big it is, how much they're spending. Every Republican runs on this topic of, we're going to cut the spending, and they never do. Republicans never cut the spending. I think Rand Paul would actually cut the spending. I think he's the only chance. So I would love if Rand Paul was popular enough. I think he deserves it, but someone said, would I consider Alex Jones? I talked about the other day. Of course I would vote for Alex Jones because that's hilarious. Like, if Alex Jones ran for president, are you kidding me? That would be the funniest thing ever, for sure. I would vote for Rand Paul over him, but if he started destroying in the polls, that would be hilarious. Like, just for my own personal amusement, for sure. Alex would be the funniest president ever, and he would just go insane. I would enjoy that. Just entertainment value. 1,000 out of 10. I'm gonna read this comment. I don't know if this is a serious comment or not, but you've been commenting a lot about Trump. I just want to read it real quick. He said, come here, Anomaly. Let me give you a hug. Then we can get you back into realizing that Trump is the way. See, this type of talk, like, it's like Jesus is the way. The Lord is the way. Trump is the way. Give me a hug, Anomaly. I'll tell you that Trump, like, it's getting culty. And it's like, people think he's literally like he's the way to what? Trump was the way to communism, the way to Fauci, the way to Gates, the way to big pharma sales. Like, Trump is not the way. Jesus is the way, not Trump. He's the way, Anomaly. Let me give you a hug, and I will tell you that Trump is the way. He will save you. I read it on a message board. It's got to be legit. If it's on 8chan, I mean, who? Come on, dude. This guy posted a fortune cookie on 8chan. How could it be fake? It's like, dude, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's starting to creep me out. I wish I could play the clip of Alex, but they'd probably censor me. Alex gets it, dude. I appreciate him. He's like, dude, this is getting weird. Someone said Cruz is my first pick. I was impressed with Cruz during the omnibus bill that Trump signed. Do you remember that video? Trump, this is the thing with Trump, man. Nobody wanted to call him out because everyone thinks he's like, he passed that crappy omnibus bill in 2019. He's raising the smoking age. I don't really care, but whatever. He's like funding anti-Second Amendment stuff. He's funding all this Democrat stuff with this $1 trillion bill. And Ted Cruz came out and said he did a whole, do you remember that, where he held up the pictures and was like telling you how evil and messed up that bill was? Trump is a salesman. He signs it. He's like, I raised the smoking age. I funded our veterans. It's like, bro, you get what I'm saying? I respect Ted Cruz for doing that. I don't think Ted Cruz is perfect. I can't say I fully trust him, but I think, honestly, at this point, now that Trump is who he is now, in 2018, I would have told you it's Trump and Ted Cruz. Now, I honestly think Ted Cruz is probably a better politician than Trump. And I don't even like Ted Cruz. I'm just saying that's how low Trump is to me. I don't trust him at all. I think I like Rand Paul. I would lower like Ted Cruz here, and I'd put Trump under him. I think Ted Cruz would probably do more conservative stuff. And I think that he probably would have picked better Supreme Court justices too, but maybe not. I don't know. Someone said Alex Jones will pardon the QAnon shaman. Maybe. Someone said Alex is hilarious like Trump. You'd vote for him because he's hilarious. I don't know that I would really vote for Alex Jones. I just thought it would be funny to say it. First of all, Alex Jones is not going to run for president. If Alex Jones ran for president, would I really vote for him? Probably not, but I don't know. At the same time, it does sound funny to me. So I would say don't take that question too seriously, because I'm not like being like, oh yeah, he's my number one. I just think it's funny. So would I vote for him because it's funny? No, I'm saying it because it's funny. So we'll cross this bridge. I mean, this is like a highly unlikely scenario. Man, Alex Jones is running. Are you voting for him or not? It's probably not going to happen. But if it did, I don't know. People, it's funny when I say stuff like that because people will like throw you off. Like I'm joking, and someone's like, "Oh no!" It's like, dude, he's not running for president. Like it would be like me saying I'm voting for Nick Cannon for president. Like Nick Cannon's not running for president. So it's like, dude, I was with Anomaly for 3 years, and that comment really threw him up. Man, I don't trust him anymore. It's like, dude, he's not running. It'd be saying like I'd vote for Theo Vaughn. Like Theo, I like Theo Vaughn's podcast, but like he's not a politician. It's just funny to say I would vote for him because it's not even a thing that's really happening. So I don't know. People are like, dude, I can't believe you'd say that. It's like I can't make a joke. I don't know. Depends who ran. Someone said Rand talks a good game, but he's not going to get in the mud and get stuff done. Both sides would end up stopping him. See, I don't think Rand Paul is all talk like that, though. I think Rand Paul understands how the government works. Like Rand Paul understands how this works. He actually likes Trump. I like even DeSantis. I think DeSantis understands how it works. I don't even really think Trump understands this stuff. Like he didn't know how to wield his power. So I don't think Rand Paul wouldn't do anything. I think he would definitely do stuff. He doesn't have that much power now because he's a senator, but if he was the president, I guarantee you he knows much more than most people on how it operates and how much power he had. So Jesse Ventura's for the jabulations. Jesse Ventura's podcast with Theo Vaughn. I'm not going to say I lost all respect for him, but he sounded like a total hack. Someone said reading The Real Anthony Fauci by RFK. Yeah, I bought it as well. Got to support people who got the platform from the medical authoritarians. All right, I'll hang out for a few more minutes now. I'm going to take off. Someone said if Trump picked DeSantis for vice president, would I vote for him? No, not in the primary. No. If it came down to him and Biden, what a disaster. Like it's like, dude, it's like 80-year-olds like arguing about Afghanistan. It's like that's not what our country needs right now. But no, I honestly, even if Trump put DeSantis as his VP, I would actually be annoyed because the vice president doesn't even do anything. So to me, it's like if you're going to put DeSantis as a VP, just keep him in Florida. DeSantis did more in 2020 to help America than Trump even did. I mean, him being the governor of Florida made a huge difference. So I want to say I would be annoyed if Trump picked DeSantis as a vice president because, just let him be president or let him stay in Florida. I don't think Florida deserves to lose him as a governor just for him to sit behind Trump like Mike Pence and stand there. So no, I wouldn't. Jim Jordan, what do I think? I think he's a good talker. He sounds good on Fox News or in the Senate or the House or wherever he is, but I don't know. Something doesn't sit right with me, but I don't dislike the guy. I think he's definitely a standout talker. I don't know. When I found out he was taking money from Google, I just thought it was kind of weird, but I don't know why. Like I've never run for politics, so I don't know what it's like to like get lobbying money or something, or like, oh, they gave me $10,000, whatever. Like, I don't know how that works, but thoughts on Robert Barnes? Any critiques? I wouldn't say I'm a critic, but I like Robert Barnes. I think he's a great lawyer. I think he's an important voice. The only thing I ever didn't like about Robert Barnes, I've liked almost everything I've seen from him. The only thing I didn't like was his debate with Nick Fuentes. I thought he got totally outperformed in that debate. But besides that, great lawyer, great voice, important voice for sure. Viva La Barnes. Yeah, I like his work a lot. Just his debate about the topic I talked about earlier, I felt like he got completely blown out of the water. Did I see Cernovich and Alex Jones dogging on Trump? I didn't watch the whole thing, but dude, I saw Alex talk about it. It's going to become a lot less and less rare as people realize it. I Let me see. I think Don Jr. would be a better president or good president. Someone said. Def I Don Jr. definitely gets it more than his father. Honestly, like when I say this stuff, I know a lot of people. Hold on, let me just say this real quick. Someone said I need a shout out from Anomaly. What's up, Victoria? When people get mad at me for saying stuff about Trump, I feel like personally, as somebody that is clearly who I am, and we are who we are. We this movement is big. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to watch Trump be such a shell of himself. It's embarrassing to see him look like such a baby in front of Bill O'Reilly. It's embarrassing to see him get booed in Alabama. It's embarrassing to see him slobbering all over Big Pharma. It's embarrassing. So, Don Jr. gets it. I feel like at a certain point, it's time to have a conversation with Trump. I'm not doing it to be mean, but it's like, bro, your father looks like embarrassing. He's embarrassing himself. He's embarrassing his supporters. He's getting booed. He looks like a puppet. It's like Don Jr. seems like he gets it. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just like, dude, someone talk to this guy. Like he's a total flop. So hopefully Don Jr. has a combo with him or something. No problem, Victoria. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for being here. Hopefully, real quick, I'm not going to leave yet. What is it? 1:35. I'll probably stay a little bit, but if you ordered a lot of the stuff, not the Dream Rare hoodies, but pretty much everything else, all the other hoodies and other long sleeves, they should be mailing. I should get mine. Mine's probably in the mail as well, so I'm going to check it out. But someone said, "Poor Trump. You're always dogging him out." He's poor Trump. No, he's a billionaire. He's fine. He dogged the country out. He's dogging himself out. I'm just making fun of him. Do I think he got subverted or went along with it? Honestly, I just don't. I think that he like my honest analysis. This is not anything but my opinion, but I think he did a good job selling this image. Like this is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. And I think it was more a brand, like drain the swamp. I think it was more an image than it was a reality. Like he had a great campaign, but immediately he took money from Pfizer. He took $1 million right before he even got into office for his inauguration. So he got $1 million from Pfizer. He shut down conversations with Robert Kennedy Jr. And then he put a huge pharmacy lobbyist as the head of HHS. So people ignored this for a while because it seemed like he was going to do a lot. And Trump was a master and the QAnon stuff didn't help, putting a carrot in front of people's faces. So everybody was like waiting, including myself, being like, hey, let's give them some time. Let's give them some time. Let's be patient. The Democrats are doing this. This is not fair. But I think he really sold himself as somebody he wasn't. I guess I think that he never was who I thought he was. I think he did a great job pretending to be that and pushing this image. But when push came to shove, as Cernovich says all the time, he had no honor. I mean, his pardon list is embarrassing. None of these people that you could say Snowden, Assange, whatever, like he sold himself as this, WikiLeaks. Donald Trump never liked whistleblowers. He used whistleblowers to win the election. He used Alex Jones. He used Milo Yiannopoulos. And then as soon as everybody goes away, he's a very selfish man. So I think, his act caught up to him. I don't think he ever was who people thought he was personally. And I think these theories of Trump being like a wizard, really got to people, including me at a certain point. I was never full blown into the Q stuff. I always knew it was like a little bit exaggerated, but in general, I'm like, man, maybe Trump is going to do something. Maybe he really is fighting the system. And, I started ignoring stuff like a lot of people. I didn't ignore everything. I saw the speech laws. I saw the omnibus bills, but he passed an executive order for Big Pharma in 2019. According to Bill Gates, he offered Bill Gates a position as a science advisor. He worked with Fauci. Go watch his debate, or I'm sorry, his conversation with Bill O'Reilly. he likes Fauci. Donald Trump, he puts on a show. He's a great actor. He's a great showsman where he's like, I'm fighting Fauci. But then like Bill O'Reilly's like, why didn't you fire Fauci? And he's like, me and Tony, he said, call me Tony. We really got along. Dude, he's friends with these people. So I feel like he's a good actor. Honestly, I feel like I got fooled and a lot of people did. But, I always was kind of hesitant. I never was like, oh my God, I was always honest about it. But he was doing a lot for a while. But I feel like, clearly, the fourth quarter shows when someone is, and his fourth quarter was egregious. Now he's been a year out of office. He's a joke, So I feel like he embarrassed himself in his own legacy. So either he was just never who I thought he was the whole time and just sold this image that he wasn't, or he's got such a massive ego that he can't admit he was wrong like Alex Jones thinks, and he's just digging himself in a bigger hole because he refuses to like be the bigger man and tell the truth about it. But I don't know, if you look at kind of take yourself out of it and take yourself out of the emotion of like, they did a great job, I think, in the media. The Democrats were so evil to Trump and the Democrats were so dishonest to Trump. It forced a lot of good people to defend him because it's like, well, but then you get what I'm saying? The Democrats control the narrative. Russiagate, I'm defending him against Russiagate. But then they're passing executive orders and bills, and either that was part of the plan or it just turned out that way. So I can't really call it, but I think there's a high chance that he never was who people thought he was. Robert F. Kennedy really explains it well in one of his interviews where he said Trump was interested in kind of like exposing big pharma, and he sat down with Robert Kennedy, and he ended up siding with Fauci and Bill Gates, and he threw Robert to the side. I'm not saying Robert's perfect, but Trump from the beginning was employing the swamp. One of the swampiest industries in our country is big pharma. Google Trump Pfizer inauguration. Trump got $1 million from Pfizer and then put a pharmacy lobbyist as the head of human health services. He never drained the swamp. He filled up the swamp. He did little things here or there. He just sold everybody on the brand. My brand is drain the swamp. He didn't really mean it. So, I feel like people don't want to accept that. They're living this fantasy fairy tale because the Democrats said, we're evil, or he's evil, we're good. So then people said, well, no, he's good, they're evil. But the truth is, it's this big movie script that they created. It's like someone said, is that why he fired Fauci? He never fired Fauci. But in general, I'm not even going to fault him for not firing Fauci because I don't know if he could fire Fauci, but he did everything that Fauci wanted to do. If you Google his executive order, Trump was in pharmacies' pockets the whole time. Yeah, he didn't do everything they wanted for certain insulin pills and stuff, but when push came to shove, he pushed their big product. He's selling it like a cure. Donald Trump is a wicked man. He's wicked because either he's a liar and he's deceiving his base, or he's such a massive egotistical person that he's willing to just go down the wrong path constantly and make zero, changes. So, it is what it is, but people don't want to acknowledge it. It doesn't bother me. I don't really care anymore. But that's my guess is like either he never was who people thought he was, or he's just way too headstrong to admit that he got played. I'll say this too. I think in general, there's two things going on. There's a lot of snakes around Trump, so it's okay to fire them. I'm not mad that he fired all these people, but to be honest, a great leader takes accountability, right? A great leader, if Michael Jordan loses a game, Michael Jordan doesn't say, oh, my team lost me to the game. Michael Jordan takes accountability. To me, Donald Trump's not a great leader because he never takes accountability. Steve Bannon helped him win. He said, Steve Bannon's a sloppy man. He cried like a dog. I dogged him out of here. Dude, Trump is kind of like a jerk off. It's like he has no loyalty to anybody around him. He doesn't, he never takes accountability for anything. He blames everybody. He throws everybody under the bus. He throws his own supporters under the bus. He throws his country under the bus. He doesn't care. He's just willing to, how can I make myself look good and blame somebody else? He doesn't care about, what's going on in America. He cares about what the media says about his crowd size. I don't mind if he defends himself because I think they do lie about his crowd sizes, but look where his head's at right now. he's not really concerned with mandates. And he says, oh, you could have your freedoms. That's not really standing up to it. He sells the vaccine all the time. He brags about himself. He says how great he is. I think he's like an egomaniac. And I think that, he has zero loyalty to anybody, and he's not a good leader because he takes zero accountability and is always looking to throw somebody under the bus. But here's my thought about what happened in 2020 is everybody got thrown under the bus, and then Donald Trump is standing there by himself. Alex Jones helped him win the election. He did nothing to help Alex Jones when he got censored. Julian Assange helped him win the election. He did nothing to help Julian Assange when they arrested him. Milo Yiannopoulos helped him win the election, and people like that and all these further right people helped him win the election. He didn't give a shit. As soon as they started dropping like flies, he didn't care. Steve Bannon dropped him like a fly, he's dropping all these people. You think Trump could have won the 2016 election without Julian Assange, Alex Jones, and Steve Bannon? Of course not. Steve Bannon and his Cambridge Analytica was super key, the analytics and all that stuff. And Alex Jones had a big platform, and Julian Assange dropped the WikiLeaks. Alex Jones, Trump is a leader, knows he's nothing without his voters. Like, I'm nothing without my viewers and stuff. Trump doesn't think like that. He dropped everybody like a fly. And then in 2020, he got played. And what was the final thing that he did? He told everybody to go to Washington, and he said, we're going to march to the Capitol together. Everybody went to the Capitol. Trump didn't go to the Capitol. All his supporters got set up. He condemned them. He didn't pardon a single one of them. And then he pardoned a bunch of criminals and Democrats and scummy people, and then he left out, and now he sells the vaccine. He's not a good person. He's not a good leader. Time tells all. I don't think he ever had anybody's back but his own. And I think as a leader, you can't win it by yourself. So if you have zero loyalty and zero, appreciation for the people who do this stuff for you, eventually you're going to lose. And I'll say, as far as accountability, if the machines were super messed up, then you should have paid attention to them earlier. Democrats were talking about them in 2018. If mass mail-in ballots were a problem, then you shouldn't have helped usher them in. If he just was like a big clown. He's like a big doofy clown who's used to getting his way, who just throws everybody on the bus, lies, and tries to sell stuff. And eventually he ran out of room. And now I feel like he has no confidence anymore. Like, when you listen to Trump in 2017, he's the most confident person on the planet. 2018, Trump's the most confident. Listen to him and talk to Bill O'Reilly. He sounds like a scared dog. He sounds like an embarrassing baby. He's just like, oh, Tony's my friend. I call him Tony. Yeah, me and Anthony Fauci, we get along. He's pathetic. It's like he knows that he ran out of room, but his ego's so big, he just doesn't want to admit it. So he's like living this stupid lie, and like it's embarrassing. Listen to him on Bill O'Reilly. He didn't used to sound like that. He was like, this is who I am, and this is what, because he was honest. He used to tell the truth. Now that he's been such a fraud, he's like demasculated. He's like, they're like, why didn't you fire Fauci? He's like, oh, he said, call me Tony. He's my friend. We got along. It's like, we get it, bro. Call me Tony. Like, you get along with Fauci. Cool. Like, that's not what your base wants to hear. But like, I feel bad because it sucks, but it's like, I want to play the clip real quick. Hopefully this doesn't get like algorithmed or banned, but whatever at this point. I don't even give a shit, but excuse my language. Let me play a clip of Alex Jones. I'm not going to play the whole thing. This is for historical purposes only. Alex Jones helped Trump win the election. 1.5 billion views. Trump went on his radio show. Listen to what Alex says. This is one of the biggest Trump supporters on the planet who supported Trump in 2016 and helped him get his presidency. Listen to what he said on Tim Pool recently.
I didn't think Trump was perfect.
Listen.
I thought that he was
you got more Pokemon dollars, right?
Exactly. I thought he was more of a populist, better than what we were being offered. And so with Hillary Clinton, who I know is evil, but now I almost see Trump as destructive because he becomes the opposition to the Democrats, but he's got his own issues. I want to be populist, not left or not right, but Americans coming together and saying no to Joe Biden, no to the Democratic Party that lied about Russiagate and all of it. I don't think Trump's a bad guy, but I want to be clear. At the end of the day, he went along with warp speed. He went along with the experimental shot, and he's pig-headed, and he won't admit he was wrong. So I'm not going to criticize Biden and Pfizer for this and Fauci and then give Trump a pass.
That's exactly. That's I've been saying this for over a year now. Alex Jones is the biggest Trump supporter on the planet. He said, Trump, I'm starting to feel like Trump is dangerous now because he basically listen. He basically called him controlled opposition. Listen,
You got
More-
Pokemon dollars, right?
Exactly. I thought it was more of a populist, better than what we were with Hillary Clinton, who I know is evil. But now I almost see Trump as destructive because he becomes the opposition.
he said, I almost see Trump as destructive because he becomes the opposition. He's not saying controlled opposition, but he's suggesting that Trump is. He's like, listen, I supported Trump. He's the biggest Trump supporter on the planet. Everybody knows it. He's a phony now. He's not who he was, and he calls him pig-headed. Where it's like, dude, we're not saying he has to come out and say these are the worst things ever. It's so bad, but at a certain point, all he does is sell the product. Like, dude, I've heard Trump sell the Pfizer vaccine more than I've heard Bill Gates sell the vaccine. There are no Pfizer commercials on television. I've seen Donald Trump sell this product more than anybody. He's the biggest pharmacy salesman on the planet. He didn't just give them $12 billion. He didn't just buy their shots with taxpayer money, which he did do. He's in the bag harder than anybody on the planet. It's like pathetic. It's like, bro, they're shoving these products down our face. There's going to be unlimited boosters for the rest of our lives. We don't need somebody selling it right now. That's who he is. So it's like everybody is starting to come around. I heard some weird noise, but it's starting to come around to what I've been saying for over a year. And it's not to say to be mean about it. It's just like, I could speculate why I think it's happening, but it is happening. And, once more people like Cernovich and Alex Jones and other people start, saying something, he's either going to fall out of irrelevancy or he's going to correct himself, Someone said, Anomaly, you're mean. I like the Bernie boy Anomaly better. He was peaceful. I'm still peaceful, but first of all, Bernie, I was very young, but in general, I learned Bernie was a phony when I started paying taxes and healthcare. And I was like, wait, I'm not rich. I'm not the 1%, but California is just draining my bank account. I was very illiterate to taxes, healthcare. I didn't know very much about like domestic policy when I was like 25. So I wouldn't say I was more peaceful. I'm more peaceful now. I'm in a better place. I don't know. I don't think it's mean what I'm saying. I think it's mean to be a huge Republican leader and do nothing. I think it's mean to turn your back on your supporters. I think it's mean to just sit there and sell a product that's being jammed down our throat. I think it's mean to say, call me Tony. That's mean. What I'm saying is not mean. Talking to 1,000 people on social media and making fun of Grandpa Moderna, aka Don Juan, the Trump pump. It's not me. What's mean is what they're doing to our country. I'm hilarious, but I'm also biased. This is a good comment. Frank said, I thought Obama was a peaceful president until I joined the military under his administration and killed brown people in 15 countries. It's all BS. Yeah, I hear you, Frank. I hear you. Yeah, Obama sounds really peaceful, right? He's very diplomatic. He's just drone, him and Biden administration are just drone striking kids in a peaceful manner. It's like, yeah. I want to read this real quick. Big Pie. He said, you're hurting your fans, Anomaly. Well, I don't like to think of people as fans. I like to think of them as followers, watchers, whatever. But he said, you're hurting your fans, Anomaly, by turning them against our only hope. Why doesn't Anomaly ever slam Biden? People in this chat ask Anomaly isn't slamming Biden. Well, first of all, once again, you're making it sound like a religion. What? Our only hope, bro. You're talking to, I'm not saying everybody's Christians because there's all different religions here, but like if you're a Christian or a Muslim for that matter and saying, my only hope is Donald Trump, you're not a Christian. Like your only hope should be Jesus if you're a Christian. If you're not a Christian, it's fine. But you have to understand when you talk like that, you're making it sound like a religion. My only hope is a politician. My only hope is a billionaire. If you think your hope is another man on this planet, your only hope, that's pathetic, dude. Why don't I talk about Biden? Because that's what other Republican pages doing, and they put this false dichotomy. Well, it's Trump or Biden. Why not that? It's like, that's why we don't do that here. But another. Move on. All right, a few more questions, then we'll move out. What time is it? 1:54. All right, I got a couple minutes. I'll read a few more, but I want to say real quick. Once again, I just like to announce this because I know people were waiting for a little bit. The pre-sale, everything but the Dream Rare hoodies should be shipping. The God is Great hoodies, the God is Great long sleeves, everything should be shipping this week. So hopefully people are getting it. I know a lot of people are getting it. Hopefully you enjoy it. And I tried to give everybody stickers. So someone says, stop thinking Trump is your only hope. Pathetic. Yeah, I don't know if it's a troll account or not, but I don't want to repeat myself, but I do think that this is so important. I truly think that like a lot of people are living vicariously through that guy. I get why, but it's like, it's not this position of strength to just look and be like, he's going to save my life. Like he's not. People thought that at the Capitol and now they're rotting in prison. Like they thought Donald Trump had a secret plan to arrest the pedophiles and now they're rotting in prison and Donald Trump doesn't care. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's an extreme example, but you're going to think this way. And it's like a toxic way to think because you're putting your godlike faith into a guy who's running around Newsmax and Fox News saying that his Pfizer vaccine saved 100 million lives like the Spanish flu. Like on what metric is Donald Trump going by? This is the type of person that I am. If Fauci said that or Bill Gates said that or Tulsi Gabbard said that or Joe Biden, I would be like, okay, listen, how did this save 100 million lives when it's not even stopping transmission? How did it save 100 million lives? Trump is a liar. Like, I don't say that with any pride. I just say that he's a liar. Donald Trump is a liar. He's getting on television to shill for Big Pharma and saying his vaccine saved 100 million lives. Donald Trump is a liar. Bill Gates doesn't even say that. Do you know why? Because Bill Gates knows that's not true. Fauci knows that's not true. Even Pfizer knows that's not true. Moderna knows that's not true. Donald Trump is a bigger liar than some of the biggest liars on the planet. He's willing to take a lie and make it even bigger to make himself look better. He's a selfish liar. I don't care if you think these shots are good, but they saved 100 million lives. Said who? Says no one. No one says that except for Donald Trump, the big fat pharmacy liar. Donald Trump, the selfish, egotistical liar, doesn't care about his supporters, doesn't care about this country, doesn't care about the Constitution, doesn't care about the mandates, doesn't care about the forced masking. He cares about lying on television to try to make himself look like Batman. I saved the world. I saved the world. He's a clown. He's seriously like, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for him because it's like he used to be awesome. He used to be so cool. Like it's pathetic. I'm just like, bro, you are such a clown. Like, he's such a clown. It's embarrassing. I saved the Spanish flu. 100 million lives. Yeah, I saved the whole world. The whole world would have died if I didn't lock the world down. I locked down. But China, they said he's racist with China, the China virus. Biden didn't want me to shut down. I locked down anyway. I locked down early. I locked down often. Sweden didn't want to do the flu. I saved the world from the flu, from the Spanish flu epidemic with the coronavirus, with my vaccines. It's like, yeah, I really want this guy back into office. He's really going to fight the deep state super hard. Like, what? Dude, no one thinks that. Literally, Trump's like, I saved 100 million lives. And like Bill Gates is backstage and he's like, bro, 100 million lives? That's like 5% of the entire planet. Donald Trump thinks, yeah, right. It's so stupid. It's so embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for him, and I'm also embarrassed to like be associated with him. I'm like, listen, I don't believe that. That's really stupid. Oh yeah, opioids saved the whole world from the opioid epidemic. Someone said DeSantis went from lockdowns and vaccines to monoclonal, no mask laws and mandate bans. It's called reading the room. I agree, Ronsky. reading the room, right? That's what Donald Trump is not doing. He doesn't have to read the room though, because people will still be like, oh, this is so great. Ron DeSantis is like 40. Donald Trump's like 80. DeSantis read the room. Donald Trump is reading, he's reading his own autobiography. And he's like, oh man, I really used to crush. Oh man, I was killing it back in the day. Like, he's not reading the room. This is why I say this so often though. He's never going to read the room because he's incentive. He's still the front runner. Like, regardless of what I say or what you think, he's the front runner. So, it's like he doesn't have to read the room because people will like act like he's a Superman. Someone said you act like we are worshiping. Well, here's the thing, Elizabeth. I'm not blaming you. I don't even know you. God bless you. But I'm not acting like it's you, but you have to understand there are people that act that way. So I'm not suggesting everyone's doing that, but I know that Donald Trump is the front runner. Like, he's for sure the front runner. He doesn't have to do anything. He can literally just shit his pants and say, Biden pooped his pants and I saved the world from the Spanish flu. Trump could come out in a Pfizer hat and he just says Pfizer like it's a NASCAR hat, and he would still win the Republican election. I'm not saying it's you, but regardless of what you think, there are enough people that Trump could literally do anything and he would still be the front runner for the RNC. So that's why I'm saying this. It's not a personal shot at you, who I don't even know, or a personal shot at I'm a registered Republican. Do you think I'm making fun of myself? Sometimes, because it's funny, but it's like, if you get it, then it's not you. But I feel like people get bothered when it is them. Like, I had someone freak out at me and be like, we're not all in a cult. And I'm like, I didn't say everyone was in a cult. Like, I voted for Trump. I've been to Trump events. More than half my following probably likes him. So it's like, I'm not blaming you. Why do people take it so personally? Elizabeth said, embarrassed. Do you ever take a good look at the clown who thinks he won? Oh, okay. So that's why, because you are that type of person. You get offended because it hits home. You're like, clown? What about the Biden clown? It's like, yeah, Biden's a bigger clown, but Trump is still a clown. And I don't follow clowns. Yeah, I get it. That's what Republicans do. Yeah, you think Trump's a clown? Look at Biden. Biden's a clown. You think Trump's a clown? Look at the clown in office, the clown in chief. Look at the clowny Biden. Man, clowny Biden's such a clown. I got to vote in clowny Trump, and what gas prices will go down. Yeah, I agree. He's a better option, but that doesn't negate what I'm saying. Some people say my Trump impersonation is funny. Okay, I saved the world from the Spanish flu. Okay, guys. Biden's a bigger clown than me, okay? I'm a clown. I'm on TV lying, but my supporters like it, okay? It's flu. I saved the world from a flu. Not a flu. It's a China virus, okay? It's a flu. It's a China flu, okay? It's not a flu. You need a vaccine, okay? I'm not going to give it to you. I just recommend it, okay? Yeah, I know there's bigger fish to fry, okay? But I don't care about anybody, okay? And people are going to get mad, okay? Did I say, look at Biden, okay? He pooped his pants, okay? I've only pooped my pants one time, okay? Biden pooped his pants 4 times, okay? Biden's 80, okay? I'm only 79, okay? Madeline said, I think if Trump wasn't kicked off social media, he would get immediate feedback. Like when Alabama booed him, it seems shocking to him. He's oblivious. I'm not going to start a conspiracy theory, but I'm done thinking all this stuff's coincidental. He left in he got his supporters set up. He sold the vaccine and then he left. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think he's like purposely, I don't know. I'm not going to start a theory, but I'm just saying, like, he sounds like a little, like, I don't think he's oblivious. Honestly, I think he is egotistical, but this all seems like planned. Like, you just set your supporters up. You just screwed over the country. You just embarrassed yourself. Are you going to go back in public now after you just embarrassed yourself? No, he runs and he just sends out emails now. He's like, it's raging out of control. COVID's raging out of control. These are his emails. He sounds like a Democrat. He's like, COVID's raging out of control. My shot saved the world. He's such a goofball. I feel like he's too embarrassed to do more videos because every time he does a video, he sounds like an idiot. So he could do videos. He could post on Rumble. He could go on Fox News whenever he wants. It's not like Trump doesn't have any platform. Alex Jones is everywhere. Alex Jones is all over the place. I think Trump is embarrassed of what a failure he is, and he just doesn't want to go anywhere because he knows he's like pathetic now. What's up, Cowboy Bear? My impression is subpar. I appreciate the feedback. My impression is not good. I don't have a lot of range in that department. I just do what I think is funny. Someone said he's making his own Twitter. Yeah, it's not like nobody would host the guy. He could do a lot more. I don't care if he doesn't do more. Like if Trump just wanted to golf and stuff, I wouldn't hassle the guy. But this is crunch time for humanity. And he pops his head out like a groundhog once every 2 months to sell the vaccine. Like he's a clown. But if people are into the circus, they're into the circus. I'm not going to, we could talk about something else. I would enjoy it. Bernie's going to run again. Bro, Bernie's like the left-wing Trump. I mean, they're not similar in policy, but it's like he just runs and wins a lot of money and like screws over his fan base and they never notice. I feel like I have whiplash from Bernie because when I was younger, I was like, I didn't always like Bernie, but I was like, oh, maybe he's the real deal. And then he screwed me over. And then I watched Bernie. I was like, it took me like 2 months and I'm like, oh, Bernie's a phony. I fell for that. So many people didn't fall for it. So Bernie just keeps running and taking money and losing. And he's like, oh, we're going to fight the 1%. He's like, the 1% are millionaires. And the only way to beat the 1% is for poor and middle-class people to give me all their money. I'm going to raise $200 million saying we're going to fight Hillary Clinton. And then I'm just going to take the money and support her. And then he did that. And I was like, oh, Bernie's a phony. And then he did it again. And I was like, how the hell did you not realize that? And he's like, the 1% are on the move again. I'm kindly asking for a donation. And then he raised a lot of money and freaking lost again. Like, it's like, at what point do people in the Bernie party? I'm getting flashbacks to like Bernieism now with Trump. Like Trump screws over his supporters and they just keep giving him money. Like it reminds me of the Bernie thing. Like Trump's going to run again, screw everybody over, take the money. And then they're going to be like, whoa, I'm like so over it. But a mystery, what's going on, brother? He said, why do you think liberals and the left are so for the jab when Trump was the one who brought it to us? They don't like anything associated with him. Because Trump just served, I think, as a puppet for Big Pharma. He funded them. It would be like, I don't know, Trump doing what they wanted to do. I don't think Trump funneling money to Big Pharma was a big threat. So I think, they just used Trump and then threw him out of the way. And now they're taking credit for what he helped do. But I don't know. It would be like if Trump defunded the police or something. Like they wouldn't give him credit for it, but then they would like say that they did it or something. But I feel like it was just him doing their stuff and then them throwing him to the side. And I appreciate you asking that question because I feel like this is something that, Bryson Gray understands and very few people understand. The left, they're not operating at this moment under honesty. So if you try to please them, they're not going to give you credit. So at a certain point, don't just do the opposite of them, but do what's right. So a lot of people make excuses for Trump. They say, well, he had to please the left. They're never going to give him credit. They're not going to give him credit for that. Just do what's right. You're not getting credit. They hate you. They're going to call you a Nazi or whatever. So what's the point of, he could do everything they ever wanted and they would still call him Hitler. So I feel like there's nothing he could ever do that they'd give him credit for, but he still does a lot of things they want him to do in hopes that maybe one day they'll give him credit or something. But someone said, don't speak for Bryson Anomaly. I'm complimenting him. I'm saying he gets it. He doesn't care what people think. So first of all, I texted Bryson today. I'm never going to speak for another man, but I'm going to compliment Bryson whenever I want. I'm just saying he doesn't care what people think. He doesn't care what Republicans think. He doesn't care what the LGBT thinks. I respect Bryson for that. And I'm saying he has the right decision. He gets it. He doesn't care what people think. He's going number 1 on iTunes. Why? Does he have to pander? No, you don't have to pander. Everybody thinks that you have to do something you don't want to do in order to please somebody else. That's no different than being liberal and doing something that you know is wrong just to please the liberals. Everybody's got to stop. Everybody's got to stop trying to please everybody. What's the last book you read that you'd like to share? Well, I'm reading RFK's book, but I'm not done with it. Thoughts on Kyle? it's a very weird court case. We'll see what happens, but I don't know. I don't know why it's taking so long. I don't understand exactly what's going on. I've been listening to legal experts a little bit, but I think the most important thing that's going on right now is they're threatening the jury, and this can't happen. So, this cycle of like something happened, we're going to burn down the cities. This kid did this. Now we're going to threaten the jury. That's very dangerous. Regardless of the court case, the fact that they're just going to threaten any jury that they disagree with or something. I think what's frustrating about this too is like knowing how annoying of an event the January 6th was. It's the perfect event for them to be like, see, you did it, you do it. It's like after the BLM riots and this, it's like, I feel like Republicans and Trump played right into their hands. I'm not trying to go back to that, but it's like now, normally it would be very easy to be like, it's so bad to do this. And they're always going to be like, you did it though. Remember when you did it on January? That's why that event was so stupid. It was such a stupid event and such a stupid setup. But in general, it's like, yeah, it's unsustainable to threaten juries and threaten to burn things down when you don't get your way. So I feel bad for the jury. I'm sure they're afraid for their lives. I'm sure. How does that not influence your decision? I would never cave. But in general, if you're just like an average person, random person, and I'm not saying I'm not average, I'm just saying in general, like if you don't have like, a strong heart, how could it not influence your decision? You got people like threatening to kill you if you say that he's innocent. That's got to play into why it's taking so long. Have I had COVID? Am I vaccinated? According to my knowledge, I've never had COVID. I've never had the COVID vaccine. So that's what I know. Someone said Biden and Trump are best friends. I don't know if they're best friends, but I do think that Trump and Fauci are friends and Trump and Bill Gates are friends. And I'm done thinking that he's fighting them. I think Trump and Bill Gates are, they're buddies. But I don't know that for sure. He's never said anything about Bill Gates. Every time I want to find the clip. It's kind of funny, but like you got Bill O'Reilly asking him about Fauci, and he just keeps saying he's like friends with Fauci. I mean, bro, most Republicans are like, dude, Fauci's the worst, and Trump's like, he's my buddy. Like, dude, it's starting to feel like he's not really who people think he is. I'm not trying to be mean, but I do think it's funny.
Can they do this on purpose or not?
Listen.
I think probably they did.
First of all of his supporters think that China did this on purpose, right? Or whoever was involved. I would say like 90% of his support base thinks that. So listen to everybody was like laughing at this interview. Huh?
So the big question is, did China do this on purpose or not? I think probably they didn't. Okay.
They did not.
I think they did not do it on purpose. It certainly fit their agenda pretty well in many ways because it knocked us out. It knocked out the world.
But you don't think they weaponized COVID?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Why
I
didn't
would
you fire
certainly
Fauci?
hope not.
Why didn't you fire Fauci? Everybody hates Fauci.
Well, it didn't matter because I did pretty much the opposite of what he would
but you
suggest.
still had him.
No, he's been there a long time. I actually got along with him very well. Call me Tony. He goes, call me Tony, sir.
Call me Tony.
He was a much better.
So that's his answer. This is so goofy. Like, why didn't you fire Fauci? We actually got along. And it's not true that Trump did the opposite of what he did. You have to understand, even if Trump couldn't fire him, he didn't have to put him on the coronavirus task force. Trump made Fauci a superstar. He didn't have to put him on television every day. He didn't have to put him right beside him. Trump made Fauci an icon. I didn't do what he wanted to do. Bro, you put him on TV every day for 3 hours when the whole world was shut down. How could you possibly make somebody more famous? Hey, everybody, nobody can do anything. Watch me on TV and I'm going to give this guy a microphone. He didn't have to do that. They're friends. They're all friends. Like, he's not even pretending like they're not friends. I don't it's like,
No, he's been there a long time. I actually got along with him very well. Call me Tony. He goes, call me Tony, sir.
Call me.
Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but he's like a clown. Like, he's like literally a clown. Like, if you look at his face in the interview, it's almost like he knows he's being a clown, where I'm like, bro, it's like embarrassing. I'm like, no one's asking how good of friends you are. Just answer the question. Like, I actually got along with him pretty well. Call me Tony. He said, call me, like, it's like a stand-up routine. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, no one asked, like, you get what I'm saying? He's always like, he's always making a sale. He's like, I actually got along with him pretty well. Call me Tony. He's like, call me Tony. And it's like, dude, it's like a freaking script or something. Call me Tony. Call me Tony. He said, like, okay. Like, but what about, like, what? It's pretty funny, but I call him Anthony. That's how much I like Fauci. He says, call me Tony. And I say, I'm going to call you Dr. Anthony because I respect you and I respect Big Bird and I respect Pete Davidson, and Alex Baldwin totally doesn't have an anger problem. And, you know, I get my politics from Billie Eilish, and, you know, Bill Gates is really just trying to help out. That's why he gives, you know, the media so much money, because he just wants to help the media. You know, and I just love the fact that he's just releasing mosquitoes all over, you know, Texas and Florida. It's a really good idea to release GMO mosquitoes. And, you know, these are just like, you know, I call him Anthony. That's why I'm like, Dr. Anthony, you know, and I just get, sometimes I'm like, thank you for your service. You are such a selfless man. Just kidding. Someone said source. Someone said Billie Eilish has. I'm not going to read that, but it's funny. I don't want to. Someone said blaming Trump for not firing Fauci when Fauci was supposedly the smartest man at the time is you using hindsight. Well, this is called a straw man argument, Joseph, because I never blame Trump for not firing Fauci. So that's an argument. It's called a straw man argument. When you don't have a good argument, you make up a fake argument that nobody ever said, and then you make that argument and you say, well, blaming Trump for that is like a hindsight. Like it's called a straw man. You're making up something I never said. I never blamed him. I said, I understand if he can't even, because these laws are kind of weird with how you appoint certain people. In general, he maybe could have, but I never once blamed him for not firing him. I said, it's just embarrassing that, one, he's being asked about it and he's telling everybody how well they get along, but also he made Fauci famous. I didn't say he should have fired Fauci. Other people are saying that, and they should say that. That's fine. I never said that. So you're making a fake argument. I said he didn't have to make Fauci so famous and powerful. You said he's the best guy at the time. You can make every lie that you want in your head, you know, as to why he worked with him and did all this stuff, but you're making up fake arguments, bro. He's the best guy at the time. The only way to fight the coronavirus is to pass an executive order in 2019 before it happened. It's like, so if our leader's too foolish to figure this stuff out, people think he's like dumb. Like, he's just too dumb. He didn't know any better. Dude, he had a meeting with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. before he was in office. If Trump is such an idiot, why would he bring in somebody who's an anti-vaccine advocate and have a meeting with them? You think he did that because he's a dummy and doesn't know who anybody? He knows who these people are, bro. He's friends with them. But it's people like you. I'm not trying to be mean, but this is why we're never going to get anything done. You're like, it's just hindsight. I mean, who would have known communism wasn't going to work? I mean, he had to put Fauci on television every day. I mean, why would he fire? He can't fire him. He's got to work with him. I mean, how are we ever going to be free unless we lock down? Anomaly. I mean, he had to give Big Pharma $12 billion. I mean, if we don't give Big Pharma taxpayer money when we're in a socialist lockdown, how the hell are we going to fight the deep state? Anomaly. What if the media called him a mean name? Anomaly. He had to do what the left said, or else they would have hindsight court. It's like, bro, just give it up. If you don't want to, go to Trump.com and go work for him as a PR team. I'm sure he could use the help, because smart people are figuring out that he's not who people think he is, but it's okay. Someone said he kept all this stuff was not new though. I'm not trying to, like, you could say it's hindsight quarterback, whatever, but like, this stuff was all written beforehand. Like this was all like, and I'm not making a theory, like they passed executive orders and bills and they're working with Moderna In your eyes, he's just on stage and he doesn't know who's who. They're all working together, dude. They're working together. They're doing this stuff. He's just another politician. I'm sorry. He's not who you thought he was. He works with pharmacy lobbyists. He works with Fauci. He works with Gates. He's just another politician who was really good at acting and really good at convincing people that he was someone different. But he had to do all of that. Okay, I agree. Then if he has to do everything that other politicians do, and he has no discernment and no good instinct to get rid of somebody and just works with them the entire time, then what's the point of acting like he's somebody different? I don't understand. It's like he's just doing what everyone else does. Like, okay, sure. So what's the point of acting like he's different then? What's the executive order done in 2019? I'll look it up real quick, but executive order, flu vaccines. He did an executive order. Let me see. It's actually the most important one if people want to know how this stuff was going on. Okay, I forget the name of it, but it was on September 19th. Executive order modernizing influenza vaccines in the United States to promote national security and health. So I'll just read a little bit of it because this is actually, tell me if this sounds familiar, okay? This is a Donald Trump executive order, which, by the way, you just launch it out there. You don't need Congress or the Senate or anything. So this is in 2019. Ready? Tell me if this sounds interesting to you. Section 3, the National Influenza Vaccine Task Force. There is hereby established a National Influenza Vaccine Task Force. The task force shall identify actions to achieve the objectives identified in Section 2 of this in order to implement those actions. The task force shall be co-chaired by the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Health Human Services or their designees. By the way, at the head of Health and Human Services, Trump put a pharmacy lobbyist, Alex Azar of Eli Lilly. In addition to the co-chairs, the task force shall consist of a senior official from the following executive branch departments, agencies, and offices: the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Veteran Affairs, the Department of Homeland Security, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the National Institute of Health, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid, the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority. The co-chairs may jointly invite additional federal government representatives with the consent of blah, blah, blah. If you scroll down, they talk about a pandemic. They talk about a universal flu vaccine. They talk about a task force, and it's all written in 2019. Someone said, no, he didn't. No, he literally did. That's literally a real executive order. So if you read it, influenza viruses are constantly changing as they circulate globally in humans and animals. Relatively minor changes in these viruses cause annual seasonal influenza outbreaks, which result in millions of illnesses, hundreds of thousands of hospitalizations, and tens of thousands of deaths each year in the United States. If you keep going, it says, unlike seasonal influenza, a pandemic has the potential to spread rapidly around the globe, infect higher numbers of people, and cause rapid rates of illness and death in populations that lack prior immunity. While it's not possible to predict how frequently a pandemic may occur, there have been 4 pandemics in the last 100 years. The most devastating pandemic occurred in 1918 to 1919, and it is estimated to have killed more than 50 million people worldwide. So what people don't understand is, and if you Google and research Donald Trump, Bill Gates, you can find that Donald Trump and Bill Gates were talking years ago, and Donald Trump, according to Bill Gates, offered Bill Gates a position in the government. And if you read the articles that talk about what they were talking about, this is what they were talking about: this universal influenza vaccine. So when Donald Trump gets on Fox News and says, I saved the world from a Spanish flu, the exact script he's reading was written in 2019, because these people, the pharmacy people and Bill Gates and others and whoever, I mean, he put the whole government in on this, but in general, I'm guessing they told him that he was going to save the world or something. And if he did this, he'd be a hero and a scientific hero. So he's sticking to that script. I'm not saying they planned it. I'm just saying it's very odd to make a task force. Think about this. If you're creating an influenza vaccine, right? That's what Donald Trump was looking to do in 2019, create an influenza vaccine. Why would you need to bring together the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Veteran Affairs, the Department of Homeland Security, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the Center for Disease Control, the National Institute of Health, Medicare, Medicaid, and BARDA, Bio and Medical Advancement Research? Why would the Department of Defense and the Department of Justice and the Homeland Security, why would all that be necessary for an influenza vaccine executive order? Sounds a lot more like a communist, like complete takeover. Like everyone in the government is going to be in on this. That's a little creepy. That's how you end up in a lockdown. So this idea that like he just figured out who Fauci, like, bro, they were working together. You could say he made a mistake or whatever. I'm not, but like, just people are thinking that he just thought of this like recently. It's fine. I'm just saying like this was all in the works. He's putting the human health services in charge of all this stuff. Who did he put in charge of human health services? He put a pharmacy lobbyist. Google Pfizer Trump inauguration. And the first thing that comes up, drug maker Pfizer gave $1 million to help finance President Trump's inauguration. So they gave him $1 million to pay for his celebration. And then he puts a pharmacy lobbyist in one of the most powerful positions. Is that why? I don't know, but he didn't put somebody not in pharmacy in charge of that position. And if you put a pharmacy lobbyist as the head of human health services, you're going to get swallowed up by big pharma. Like, what else do you think is going to happen? So it's the opposite of what Ron DeSantis did. Ron DeSantis put a frontline medical doctor. Do you know those doctors like Simone Gold, that woman who was, the bigger woman who was talking about all this stuff? They freaked out. The frontline doctors who were speaking out against the lockdowns and against the, all this stuff. That's who Ron DeSantis put in charge of his Surgeon General. He picked a truth teller doctor and put him in a position of power. That's somebody who at least is trying to do something. Donald Trump put one of the most powerful pharmacy lobbyists as the head of human health services when he got into office. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like he was just doing what he thought was best at the time. I mean, okay, but you think Rand Paul would put a pharmacy lobbyist as the head of human health services? I bet you Ted Cruz probably wouldn't even do that. It's like he was a good salesman, but he didn't just stumble on this stuff. It was all happening behind the scenes. It's just, it came in your face in March. And I'm going to admit, a lot of this I didn't know about until later. But when it's my live stream and I'm trying to explain it to people, you might as well listen instead of just saying what we said 3 years ago. Someone said, Stella Emanuel, exactly. Someone said the frontline doctors are heroes. Look it up. That's who Ron DeSantis put as the head of his as his Surgeon General. Listen, you could talk about the shortfalls of Ron DeSantis, but that's some guy. That's a guy who cares a little bit. He could have put a pharmacy lobbyist as a Surgeon General. No one would have cared. No one would have noticed. Nobody would have said, "Oh, Ron DeSantis is so bad." Republicans would have ignored it and probably never even realized it. Ron DeSantis put somebody good. Listen, he's doing more to keep America afloat than Trump is right now. But it's not even close. So I'm not trying to make this like a whole critique thing. I'm just saying, just identify this, say something about it, promote good stuff, call out bad stuff, and then we can have some success. But we got to stop making excuses for it. It's never going to work. Someone said Dr. Scott Atlas. Yeah, he was definitely a good guy. It's a shame that he got ran out of there for sure. Scott Atlas was a good guy. Someone said Dr. Joseph Lopato is the DeSantis Surgeon General. Yeah, he's awesome. I love that guy. Someone said, thank you for this info. You're right. I appreciate it. And I'm not trying to be mean because I'm willing to have conversations and debates. But if I'm bringing new information, just check it out. That's all I'm saying. Because I learned this through listening to other people. So, it's like I didn't just come up with this stuff. People taught me. And when I heard it, then I incorporated it. So when we're incorporating new stuff, just consider it. That's it. Could the next president just fire Fauci? I don't know how that works. So I don't want to speak on it. I don't know how easy it is to fire that position. But what I do know is there's certain things you could do to elevate him and certain things you could do to not elevate him. So I feel like Fauci, he was a huge part of the AIDS epidemic. Like if you research that, a lot of people from that time know who Fauci is because he was at the front and center of that. But before, from recently, like people didn't really know about Fauci. Trump didn't have to put him on television every day. Trump didn't have to give him the microphone every day. That was his choice. That was his choice to elevate Fauci. To me, I can't tell if he could have fired him or not, but it's hard to really know. But he definitely didn't have to give him that much influence. But this was all passed, like I said, in 2019. This is very odd that they passed something that put together to the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, the Department of Agriculture. That's a very sneaky executive order. John Doe said, how much money to get you to take the jab? To be honest, John Doe, I wouldn't do it if you paid me $1 trillion. You could say Anomaly, I'll give you $1 billion if you take it. Wouldn't do it. Anomaly, I'd give you $1 trillion to do it. I wouldn't take it. Anomaly, I'll give you $10 trillion. I wouldn't take it. You could give me the Federal Reserve System. Maybe at that point I would do it just to save humanity or something. But for the most part, I don't care you can't bribe me. I'm unbribable. I don't want anything. I don't need anything. I'll earn my own money. I'll earn my own money and then Biden and Janet Yellen can steal it. But for the time being, I enjoy, life is, I'm not going to say it's a game, but I enjoy the grind of, earning my money and working. And I like business. I like selling shirts. I like, stocks can be fun. I like making videos. I like, doing business. It's fun. I don't know. If I had money, I'd probably just get fatter because I'm kind of fat now. I'm not super fat, clearly, but I'm trying to get like an 8-pack. I used to have abs. Now, once you get in your 30s, I'm doing sit-ups, I'm doing jump ropes, and I'm like, how do I want my gut completely gone. I'm obviously not huge, but I'm just saying, I'm gonna have a 6-pack, in 6 months. Give me 6 months. Someone said Trump pushed the FDA to approve the vaccine rapidly. I know, which is a disaster. Like ethically, I'm not talking about, they're going to say this. Ethically, the FDA needs to slow down sometimes. They don't need to speed up. They need to slow down. So it's a joke, man. I don't want to talk about too much more, but someone said I'm 35 and had 0 hearing issues. Now I've almost completely lost my hearing. Sheesh. Well, I don't know why you lost your hearing, but hopefully I don't lose mine. If I lose mine, that would suck, but good luck. Someone said I'm jacked. Yeah, I'm strong, but I want an 8-pack abs. I'm trying to look like a poster. Not the posters nowadays though, because they just use fat models to be politically correct. Someone said Obama told Fauci to shut up and be quiet about the Ebola virus. Trump would have done the same. Not trying to dunk on Trump, but just to be honest, one of the cringiest things Trump does, he's like, you remember Obama? Remember Obama with the, with the swine flu? It's like, bro, Obama did a better job than you did with the swine flu because he didn't lock the whole freaking country down. It's like, dude, Trump is such an idiot. He's like, you remember Obama with the swine flu? Bro, I was a kid when the swine flu came around, and guess what? Nobody locked me in my house. Nobody forced a mask on me. Nobody forced a vaccine in my arm. So if this is the baseline, Obama did a better job than you. And I don't even like Obama. Obama didn't lock me down. Obama didn't put a mask on me. Do you remember the swine flu? Obama did so bad. It's like, no, he didn't, because he didn't lock everyone down. You're the bad guy, Trump. Like you're somehow crappier than Obama. Like, do you remember the swine flu? No, I barely remember it because nobody treated me like a slave. So he did such a bad job. He should have been like me. He should have done a lockdown and complain about Sweden for being open. He should have gave money to Pfizer. He should have made Moderna. Did you see Obama with the swine flu? He didn't even lock the country down. What the hell? He didn't even release brand new mRNA technology and it's like, oh yeah, he did such a bad, like who listens to that? Like, oh, I'm going to vote for Trump because, Obama did such a bad job with the swine flu and Trump really crushed it with COVID. Like, no, Obama did better than you, dummy, because he didn't lock everyone in their house. He didn't funnel a bunch of no one, just leave everyone alone and no one cares about your little like germ games, You're the worst, dude. Like, you remember swine flu? You remember swine flu? Obama did the swine flu and I did like, you should have done what he did and did nothing. I would have rather that. So many people died of swine flu. I don't know one. I'm sure someone died of swine flu, but I don't know a single person who got or died of swine flu. To be honest, it was similar to COVID, where it was a lot of hype and a lot of, oh my God, everyone's going to die. And I just kept going to soccer practice and nothing happened. I would have much preferred him to do that. Trump to do. Do you remember with the swine flu? Like, and then people are like, he's got a point, though. I'm like, what point? Someone said Germ Games, great artist name. All right, I got to write some on my book. I stayed a little long, but I appreciate y'all. Thank you guys for being here. It's a late night stream. It's a long one. I knew it wouldn't be the most popular one, but I always have a blast. I'm grateful to be on Facebook before they steal my crap. And once again, if you guys want to be in line for my book, I made a digital line. It's called stayintouchwithme.com. That's my email list. So I'm hopefully going to finish my book by Christmas. I'm getting very close. My friend's going to help me format it. I got to get a cover. I'm very, very close. It's turning out great. And the theme of my book is words that they use. It's words that they use to censor speech. And I feel like this will hopefully, help people realize that we're being deceived from both sides and that it's a language game that they're playing. They're manipulating the dictionary and taking certain broad definitions and making them broad and shrinking them. And it's really authoritarianism on the speech side. So that's what the book's about. It's almost done. If you want to get in line for it, it's stayintouchwithme.com. That's my email list. I think it's the least annoying email list. Now I do bi-monthly emails. That's all I do, but I haven't even sent one out this month, but I probably should. But in general, hopefully it's out in December. I don't want to guarantee it, but that's my goal. It's the 18th. I'm busting my behind to get it done. So stayintouchwithme.com. Also, Telegram, t.me/dreamrarechat, t.me/dreamrarechat on Telegram, or just search Dream Rare Chat, all one word. Things are going great on there. I just want to give you guys some updates before I stop real quick. I'm very blessed and fortunate. I feel like God is great. And, whenever something bad happens, like as far as censorship or whatever, live streams, I don't even trip because I know there's a blessing around the corner. And also, I'm not going to lie, I work a lot. And because of like my, streams of income / it's not definite. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how long I could do this. I don't know how long my back and my arms will last, my hands will last as far as all the editing I'm doing. I don't know how crazy censorship is going to get. And I have a great work ethic. I struggled for a long time. So not only do I enjoy what I'm doing, I have a great time. I'm always on the computer anyway. I use it too much, so I might as well do work. But I've been really busting my ass. So when my live streams get taken away, I kind of use it as an opportunity to not take a break, but do other stuff and not spend so much time doing that. But also other opportunities arise. So right now I have like 3 different situations. I would just to throw it out there, I would never sell out. I would never compromise myself. These are not things that are even in my vocabulary. So it's not like that. But you have to understand, as somebody who does business, it's like, I do my own stuff. I run my own stuff. I make everything. These platforms are not super loyal to me. So I would love to work with a business that doesn't hate me. So I'm blessed to have 3 different businesses that are kind of trying to get me to do something with them. So I have like a little, I'm not going to say a competition, but it is, I'm not trying to turn them against each other, but I'm like, listen, I got 3 offers right now where, stuff like a Patreon, not from Patreon, but things that are crowdfunding, and also like video websites, one that's pretty big. So we'll see what happens, but I'm hoping to figure that out because one, then I could start building on another platform, be incentivized to do so, and have some sort of stability to do that, and use my leverage that I have now to strike a deal. So it'd be a win-win. I wouldn't lose anything. I wouldn't stop posting to here, so I would lose nothing. It would only be a giant win. And also in the new year, my best friend in the world, he got fired in New York City because he was not doing the vaccine. So, he got fired from a really good job and he refused to cave. So I'm going to hire him in March. So of March of next year, I'm going to have a full-time assistant, AKA my best friend. And I'm excited for that because, a lot of people are like, you should do a podcast. You do this. You should get better quality stuff. And I definitely should. And I hate to feel lazy because I don't think that I am lazy, but in general, it's not broke, so I don't want to fix it. And I do so much stuff. I'm in the zone. I don't want to quit it. But now when I have my friend here, my best friend, and he's going to work, I'm going to pay him. We're going to try to make it work forever. I'm excited to have somebody that's going to be with me full time that can help me edit videos. We might even start a podcast. He's my best friend, so we might chat. The sky's the limit because I have more help. I've never had help. I've never had an assistant or anything. And I don't really hire people I don't trust. So this is like my most trustworthy friend in the world. I'm pumped about that because I think in March, I'm going to do stuff before then. But I think, with the help and with somebody that's going to be next to me for 10 hours doing work or 8 hours, I think I'm going to be able to do a lot more. We're thinking podcasts. We're thinking better quality stuff. We're thinking more content without, losing the value. So thank you guys for sticking with me. It looks like it's going to be a bright December, not a dark winter as they want to call it. We're going to have a bright one. And I'm really excited to work with my friend. And I have to say, I already like business and I already like doing videos. I like, it's very rewarding, not just to get a lot of shares and, views and have people be like, oh, I like that video, but also like, from a business aspect of working for other people, it's fun to work for yourself. But I'm pumped to have my friend because I'm going to pay him and give him a percentage. So we'll see what we can do. I hope I could build it and then hopefully maybe expand and, hire more people. I can't say I want to hire a lot of people. No offense. I kind of want to keep it small, but I'm probably the type of person that I would hire just my friends and my family at first and stuff. So it's exciting. Hopefully we could grow it like that. I don't want to get more famous or anything. I don't need to. It's already past the point of like being necessary. But it is nice to have financial stability, hire people that you love and pay other people that you respect and stuff. And it's exciting. So everything's going good for now. Regardless of like Facebook, Instagram and stuff, I have some other options. I'm not saying I'm going to leave, but it's been great, man. I got blessed after that, month live stream ban and God is great. So I'm excited about all that. I have a few exciting things, a song coming out with Bryson Gray. I don't know when he's going to mix it, but I'm telling you, it's fire. It's going to be one of the best songs of the winter. My book hopefully being done and just a few other surprises before Christmas. God bless y'all. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you to everybody who, disagreed with me and stuff. I apologize if I was rude or anything at any points. I know translation is sometimes lost when you're texting and I'm talking and, hopefully I'm not too rude or mean or anything, but appreciate y'all. And thank you guys, regardless of what you said. Have a good day. I'll be back soon.